Audio check, guys. Can you hear me all right? Had a bunch of updates to do, so I'm a little worried that something got broken. What's going on, guys? How's everybody been doing? Taking a few days off. I had some local things I had to take care of. Without going into too much detail, there were some local government ordinances that they were trying to get passed that I was not a fan of. So I decided to take it upon myself and get involved and try to get stupid laws shut down. So that's where I've been, if you've been wondering. Just going to give it a minute, let some people get in here before we get started. Well, the world's a little different place since the last time I went live, huh? World is a little different place now, isn't it? And we got all kinds of wonderful people just sharing all of their wonderful opinions all over the internet. The more that I watch and the more that I pay attention on my short term that I've had on this earth, the more I'm starting to realize that nobody knows what the hell is going on. Nobody has a clue. Everybody thinks they know. Everybody thinks they have like the solutions to all the world's problems. But the fact of the matter is we have no idea what we're doing. And then it would appear that even our government kind of is not really sure what they're doing. Mike Klikovich says it's the same. Social media is just getting dumber. You know, maybe. Or social media is just exposing how dumb we all are. We may have just been this dumb all along. Now we just can see it in real time. Samantha Richardson, of course, Charlie would absolutely support. What are we even talking about? We're going to get into that. We'll get into that. I will touch on that real quick. I think it's not even necessarily that Charlie would support what's going on. I think he would publicly support the president and then in the background be trying really hard to make sure that this doesn't end up being a long, drawn-out war that includes invasion of Iran. So, in a way, Charlie would oppose it. I just don't know that he would be aggressively, publicly pushing against it. I think he would come out, and I hate trying to like speak for somebody who's not around to speak for themselves. But just given the track record of how Charlie handled like back in June, so on and so forth, I feel like he would try to at least defend the current administration while at the same time being skeptical and also, like I said, in the background, probably trying to do anything he could to make sure this doesn't end up being another Afghanistan, Iraq. But that we'll talk about Charlie in a little bit. First, what I want to get into is maybe one of the largest mouthpieces on the internet, on the alt-right, on the woke right, on the aggressive right, on the troll right, whatever you want to call it. Nick Fuentes is arguably one of the loudest voices in the room right now, especially right now. And Alex Jones had him on his show, and it's kind of all over the place. I didn't like pre-watch the entire thing, but I did pre-watch a little bit of it just to get an idea. And like, I'm going to do my best here. I'm so worried about going through this and like catching some type of copyright crap for all the music playing. So I'm going to do my best to try to make this as streamlined as possible, but don't hold it against me if it doesn't go well. Cause I don't know if you've ever watched an Alex Jones show, every 2 minutes there's an ad for, I don't know, some type of here, take this to avoid this problem or this drug to like, you know. So I'm going to do my best to try to avoid all that stuff while you know, being seamless about it. It's not going to happen, guys. I'm just warning you. All right, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and get into this, shall we? Let's get this started. So I believe this was from Alex's show yesterday. Let's go ahead and play it and see what old Alex Jones and Nick Fuentes have to say. Mr. We got to fight the globalists. Been doing it for 40 years, and as far as I can tell, we've only gotten worse, not better, but, you know.
Whereas I tacitly support the idea of Venezuela cutting off Cuba and Mexico, you see the aftermath, it's still a roll of the dice. But Iran is specifically for the interest of Greater Israel, with Huckabee now admitting Greater Israel, Israel admitting it, saying we're a superpower, bragging. Truly the stereotype of Israel wanting global domination and trying to control the U.S. is now a reality. Just as it was 9 months ago when they said surgical strike, nuclear program, midnight hammer. And I said, this is the prelude of them psychologically giving Trump, he thinks, a victory to then sell full war, even though Chairman Kane of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and others, like Eric Prince, that talks to the president and is very smart, said, do not do it. The scenarios are too dangerous. And now the Strait of Hormuz is closed. Now the economy's in crisis. Now Iran is firing missiles never before seen that come in and then evade the interceptors. They're not surrendering. They just killed more of the leadership trying to elect a new Sauron on the Council of 12. And you study their power setup, it just gets more psychotic as you go deeper, and they're thousands deep. So this does nothing. And then the big bombshell, we'll cover this first with Nick for the next hour and 45 minutes. Appreciate him joining us. Marco Rubio, to hedge his bets yesterday, we'll play the clip in a moment, says, oh, yeah, I mean, we had to go in because
it gets better, guys.
That's why
it gets better.
Israel, and so Iran's doctrine is to hit us and all our bases and any country that has our bases, so we had to preemptively hit them, or the missile attacks would have been much worse. So that's like, I had to attack you before you attacked me. And then I said at the start of the show, and I said, Trump doesn't want people to know that the tail's wagging the dog. He's going to get pissed. Sure enough, he said in the press conference with the German Chancellor Merz, oh, no, Israel didn't do this. Oh, we always attack during the day. No, you don't. That's way more dangerous for so many things. The stealth profile, just with the light hitting the wings, creates a bigger resonance, okay, because of ionization happening and other issues. And there's more condensation during the day, and it just goes on and on. It's not good to do these attacks. We never do them during the day. That's why I said they're going to hit Saturday about 6 o'clock U.S. time, the middle of the night over there. That turned out was the attack plan. Israel attacks first, hits the underground base with the Ayatollah meeting. This was it.
iRule says, so what I've been hearing is their drone missiles are the biggest problem. Yeah, I have no idea. No clue. Depends on who you listen to. Depends on who's talking. That's the biggest problem. There's so much propaganda with this right now. It's insane. I don't know. Like, unless you just have a bias or a specific trusted source that somehow has proven to you that they've never been wrong about anything that they've ever reported on ever. Like, unless you have something like that, I don't know how anybody has any idea what's happening. So maybe that's the biggest problem. Who knows? I have no idea.
Israel literally dragging us in to the beginning of a third world war. And now Rubio's like, oh no, Israel didn't drag us in. You can't deny the fact that 200 Israeli aircraft, 30 attacked the command base in Tehran with precision-guided AI bombs. And then Israel, we now learn, has hacked into all the cameras and, of course, released the video of them being blown up in the bunker and brags, oh, we're in all their cameras. It's just unbelievable. So Israel's trying to get us all killed. Netanyahu's trying to get us all killed. Tucker Carlson's totally right that Bibi's out of control. Israel's out of control. And Nick Fuentes is totally vindicated in his predictions of all of this. Because last year, during the election 2 years ago, he said Trump's going to go to full war with Iran. And I put pressure, we all did, and hoped that what happened last year, 9 months ago, wouldn't go all the way. But now we're here.
Philip Teberek, Dave Smith has been consistent for over a decade with great takes. I don't necessarily dislike Dave Smith. Just as far as like his style goes, it's a bit too whiny for me. But I don't necessarily like disagree with everything Dave says. I think there's better, but just my personal opinion.
And you read the Israeli papers and see the Likudniks, they don't even think about geopolitics. They don't think about the Strait of Hormuz closed and China all angry with half its oil cut off. They just literally have all the articles. We run America. We're the superpower. Yeah, we're going to get Turkey next. I'll play the last Israeli prime minister bragging. We may have to hit Saudi Arabia. So we got megalomania going on right now. And we have
Lady Phoenix Gray. Dave Smith is never right, ever. He's been wrong about a lot. But a lot of them have. A lot of them get things. Part of me thinks sometimes they have a strategy, and that's if they like call out what they don't want to happen. If they say that that's going to happen, and they talk about it nonstop, and they push this out, that maybe somehow that will prevent it from happening. Does that make sense? There's probably a better way that I could have phrased that to get my point across. But part of me feels like a lot of this stuff is just people saying what their worst case scenario is, saying that that's what's going to happen. That's what we're leading to, in an attempt to sort of like draw attention to it, to maybe try to prevent that worst case scenario thing from actually happening. It also gets clicks and views. Let's be honest.
Little time to turn this back. So let's go to clip 16. This is Marco Rubio. Yesterday, like, hey, it's no big deal. Israel struck. We had to. So literally.
Nikki says, I'm so tired of these voices acting as if they knew this all along and they are so right about it all. We're in it now and we have to support our country. I mean, it's not like a huge brag. It's a 50-50 shot. We were either going to end up in some type of conflict with Iran or we weren't. So it's really not like, it's like, oh, they got a crystal ball.
Saying Israel drives our policy. This is an admission. Now they're trying to put that back in the bottle. I don't care what Rubio said. I said that Saturday. We already know this. So now he gaslights and says, oh, no, they didn't. Oh, no, they did. Here's the clip.
The States conducted this operation with a very clear goal in mind. I haven't got a chance to see a lot of reporting. I don't understand what the confusion is. Let me explain it to you, and I'll do it once again as clearly as possible. Perhaps you'll report it that way. The United States is conducting an operation to eliminate the threat of Iran's short-range ballistic missiles and the threat posed by their Navy, particularly to naval assets. That is what it is focused on doing right now, and it's doing quite successfully. I'll leave it to the Pentagon and the Department of War to discuss the tactics behind that and the progress that's being made. That is the clear objective of this mission. The second question that's been asked is, well, there's two reasons why now. The first is it was abundantly clear that if Iran came under attack by anyone, the United States or Israel or anyone, they were going to respond and respond against the United States. The orders had been delegated down to the field commanders. It was automatic, and in fact, it bared to be true because, in fact, within an hour of the initial attack on the leadership compound, the
Air Jeff says, I like Rubio. He's come a long way. I see some other people who seem to be pretty supportive of Marco Rubio. I rule Marco Rubio has been impressive. You guys are going to, I don't like him. Something about him does not assert confidence in any way, shape, or form. Anytime he gets a little pushback from media, he starts to stutter his words a little bit. His voice tone kind of drops down. He does not come across to me as somebody with balls. Just my opinion, and maybe that'll change. But as of right now, I didn't like Rubio before. I remember him sort of campaigning, being really wishy-washy on the Second Amendment, you know, almost coming out in support of red flag. Like, that's a big L for me, right? And then when you're pressed by media and you sort of are kind of wishy-washy in the way that you're explaining things, I'm just got to do better, in my opinion.
Missile forces in the south and in the north, for that matter, had already been activated to launch. In fact, those had already been pre-positioned. The third is the assessment that was made that if we stood and waited for that attack to come first before we hit them, we would suffer much higher casualties. And so the president made the very wise decision. We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces. And we knew that if we didn't preemptively go after them before they launched those attacks, we would suffer higher casualties and perhaps even higher those killed. And then we would all be here answering questions about why we knew that and didn't act.
So Israel hits them, so we have to go to full war now. And they try to claim, oh, we're just trying to get their missiles now. No, Trump says, oh, we killed 40-something, now we're going to kill the rest. It's about regime change. So these are clear promises broken. This is clearly unconstitutional. Didn't get congressional authorization. This is full war.
Philip Tabarick, Dave Smith and I go way back. We are both Ron Paul libertarians, so I am biased. I am a huge Ron Paul fan. And up until Donald Trump ran for president in 2020, I didn't even vote for Trump in 2016. Up until Donald Trump or Ron Paul, right? I'm saying that wrong. Up until Donald Trump in 2020, the only time that I had ever voted for a Republican or a Democrat was during the Republican primary. I forget what year it was, but I voted for Ron Paul. Obviously, he didn't get the nomination, so I had no reason to vote for a Republican. But up until 2020, I had never voted for a Republican or Democrat. I always voted third party because I was stupid like that. See how that works? There's a lot of people now coming out saying, like, you need to vote Democrat or you need to vote third party. Take it from somebody who's done that my entire voting career up until the last two elections. It's stupid and it doesn't do anything. It doesn't work. It doesn't have the intended effect that people would like to think that it has. And I bought into that. But yes, I like Ron Paul. I'm a big Ron Paul fan.
It's out of control. I appreciate Nick.
And just because somebody else is a Ron Paul fan does not make me an automatic fan of them. You can like Ron Paul too, but if you then come across as sort of a whiny bitch, I'm probably not going to like you too much. And Dave Smith kind of comes across that way.
Holding while I did a 10-minute intro. Nick Fuentes is our guest. And again, people say, this guy's pro-white, this guy's whatever. We have major universities saying no whites allowed. We have whites of the devil must be exterminated in the New York Times. This is the natural response to that. So I don't want to hear a bunch of stuff. I always want to say that as a premise right up front. So, Nick, you told us what was coming 2 years ago. You've been proven right.
I'm just going to say that name the way it appears. DDS Allen. 20 gifted memberships, guys. That's crazy work. Definitely not required, but very much appreciated. That's awesome. W's in the chat, guys, for that. That is incredible. Thank you so much.
You know, you're like the new Alex Jones being right on things. So I want you to give your take on what's currently happening and then what you predict is going to come next. And is there any way to get Trump to extricate himself from this bear trap?
Well, I'll take the last question first. I think the answer is no. And I was very pessimistic about the prospect of that going into this administration. As you know, in 2024, I said that Trump is the Iran war candidate. It was inevitable that Trump would take us to war. And as a matter of fact, I think that's a large reason why he got elected in the first place. I think that if you look at the election in 2020, it was obviously stolen and rigged. And so you say, well, how did he then come back and win in 2024? Well, clearly the riggers had to stand down and let him take office. And whether that's a combination of the media, social media, electioneering, whatever you want to say, they let him win. And I think they let him win because they knew that unlike Joe Biden and unlike the Democrats, he was going to have no hesitation, no reluctance whatsoever to engage Iran and its proxies, which, of course, he then did throughout 2025 and 26. So as to whether he can...
Air Jeff says, 19 people in the channel, 20 gifted, and I still dodge them. Yeah, I hear you. Happens to me all the time. I hear you.
Extricate himself from the situation? I don't think so. I think that over and over, we see the same pattern where whether it's a Democrat or a Republican, Israel triggers a confrontation with Iran. And the United States does its best, I think, in both cases, in a Democrat or Republican administration, to mitigate the severity of the confrontation. So Joe Biden used deterrence. I believe that Donald Trump last year wanted that midnight hammer strike to be the end of the nuclear program, and one tap. But of course, Israel has orchestrated all of these different confrontations. They're deliberately provoking and triggering them. And I think that was the same story here. What has happened, as you said, as Marco Rubio said yesterday, is that Israel came to the United States. Netanyahu came to the White House for, I believe, the 6th time since Trump took office for the 2nd time. And he told Trump, we're going in. And you can join us or you cannot join us, but we're going to attack and your soldiers are going to be collateral damage. And so they forced our hand. And what is happening now, once again, is actually very much more of the same, which is that in the same way that in previous years, Washington and Tel Aviv actually diverge on their Iran policy. For example, Washington seeks denuclearization. Our doctrine is non-proliferation of WMDs.
Nick Fuentes is a great example of how you can be incredibly smart and incredibly stupid at the same time.
Our imperative is we don't want Iran to have the bomb. Israel, on the other hand, has always wanted regime change. And these are two completely different things. Israel seeks the termination not just of the Ayatollah, but of the entire Islamic revolutionary government.
iRule says, thinking back to third-party independent, Ross Perot might have been good, I'm assuming is what you're saying. Well, unfortunately for me, I was not old enough to vote at the time of Ross Perot's runs. So I ended up voting for third-party candidates like Ralph Nader and Gary Johnson, and didn't quite have a Ross Perot to vote for, but.
And so that tension has characterized the three-way diplomacy between the U.S., Israel, and Iran. This war is more of the same. I believe that Trump went in knowing that Israel was going in. And I believe the play, to the extent that there is any kind of a plan, is Trump wants the Venezuela model. I'm sure that he, and I think Vance and the others as well, they thought they would go in hard and quickly against Iran, destroy the Navy, destroy the missile production, destroy the missile launch platforms, kill some of the top brass. And the expectation is that somebody from within the Iranian Revolutionary Guard would rise up as a pragmatist and negotiate with the United States for peace. And they would maintain Iran's government structure and security architecture while being pliant or compliant with the United States.
By the way, you're not just speculating. They admit this, an insane gamble, just a crazy shot-in-the-dark gamble.
Yes, and that is the correct word. It's a gamble. That is totally a roll of the dice, whether that will happen. We just don't know that. We don't know who that might be, if that will happen. Now, further, this is why this is the ongoing divergence in Washington Tel Aviv policy. That's not going to be enough for Israel. Even if that was possible, let's say in your revolutionary, zealot, Shiite, theocratic government, you get a faction from the IRGC that wants to negotiate with Washington after they killed the Ayatollah and half the leadership and blew up the country. Even if that happens, will this satisfy Israel? The answer is no. Because what Israel is seeking is a total regime change. They want to install a liberal democratic government, maybe led by the Shah, or at least a transition led by the Shah. And why? So that
Air Jeff, would Nick be labeled as woke right? Depends on the day. Depends on the day and what he's saying that day.
they can manipulate the future state of Iran, as they did in Syria, as they did in Iraq, as they did in these other countries.
And that was my point from Saturday on, is you can look at this one-dimensionally. Yeah, Muslims are bad, but the British to the U.S. and Israel always put worse people in, Hezbollah, Al-Qaeda in charge of Syria. The idea that oh, the West is this fairy godmother creating My Little Pony heavens is bullshit.
Well, that's totally true. And not only that, but I think it's likely at this point that a hardliner regime.
Natalie says, nah, Nick went so far right, he's left now. I don't know. I don't know if that's how that works. I mean, maybe, but like, yeah. So if that's the case, let's see what the progressive left opinion is of Nick Fuentes. I don't think it's a good opinion.
Regime takes power, because who's going to be left after these people watch their leaders get killed and their colleagues and their own countrymen get killed? I don't think they become more compliant. And it's a country of 90 million people. They have 1 million soldiers between all the security services. I don't know that they're just going to lay down and beg for mercy at this point. Why would they?
Americans, but if they even a pussified Americans wouldn't do that. The Vietnamese didn't. Yeah.
Bella says, Nick told everyone to vote Democrat in the midterms. We're going to get to that, and I have a theory on this. Okay, it's just my opinion, right? It's just a theory that I have, but we'll get to that.
No, they're not going to lay down. They're going to get more aggressive.
They will, and that plays into Israel's hands, because then what this does is it basically reignites the pretext for war. So, the language in the Trump admin is escalation. We're going to bomb them even harder. We're not ruling out boots on the ground. It can always get worse. And so maybe you get a ceasefire, a new regime comes to power, they don't surrender, and then we have to come up with a more permanent solution. And this is where now the U.S. is talking to the Kurds and talking about the Kurds maybe potentially being a ground force.
Now they're talking about breaking
militias.
Iran up, which is the Israeli plan to break up every country there.
Right, as they did in...
And I believe now, so this was done yesterday, and from the latest, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe there are Kurds now, ground force, fighting in Iran. Is that correct? I'm pretty sure I seen that. I don't know if it's been like totally confirmed or not. So they're right on the money with that.
Iraq, as they did in Syria, that's the textbook Israeli grand
if
strategy.
That's been confirmed.
So, yes, and that's the thing. You never see the end of the Iran war. It's always, this is just the latest climax. This is just the latest ceiling.
Audra M75 says, U.S. military and IDF are taking hits during this campaign while we get to sleep safe in the U.S., and I thank you all for your bravery and courage. It's not going unnoticed in the U.S. and protecting the free world. So I'm not going to say that you're right or that you're wrong, but we do know that Iran had no capabilities of ever hitting the United States. The only thing that they could do would be cells of, I got to be careful with words I think I use on YouTube. I'm not real sure how YouTube is with talking about stuff like this, but the only way Iran can hit the United States or cause any problems in the United States is with certain errorism problems, right? And I think so far we may have one maybe attributed to Iran in some way, or at least from an anti-Israel standpoint, or that's how it's being portrayed nonetheless. Was that in Austin, Texas? But Iran has no, they really have no way of actually, you know, they don't have missile capability of hitting the United States or anything like that, from my understanding, right? However, we do have bases all over the Middle East where they can 100% target Americans and Israelis alike. So
of hostilities between the U.S., Iran, and Israel, which have been ongoing for decades, and I don't think this is the end of it. So I don't know
No,
that
I
I'd be
totally agree.
surprised.
Do you think Trump even? I'm not trying to give him a get out of jail free card, but I actually know what your answer is. I know you're smart. Do you think Trump even understands this? And the answer is no.
No, I don't think so. And I think he just overestimates his abilities. I'm sure that in part, maybe.
Gary Spry Jr. says Alex Jones has always been a look out, there's a Jew behind you kind of guy. You know, I remember a time where there were a lot of people pressing out against Alex because he very rarely, if ever, talked about Israel being involved in much of anything. That was big during the 9/11 stuff when everybody, you know, the 9/11 truthers and all that. Alex caught a lot of heat from people because he wouldn't say anything about Israel, or if he did, he would just so ever slightly touch on it. And I don't know. So it's really okay. Owen Benjamin. I don't know if you guys are aware of who Owen Benjamin is, or if you are, how long you've been listening to Owen Benjamin. I like listening to crazy people. Okay. And the crazier they are, the better they are, because I want to understand that mindset. Owen Benjamin has gone from basically calling out, going against trans ideology, or at least transing kids, to flat earther, to now he's just Jews are the problem everywhere, right? And Owen Benjamin had been a guest on InfoWars a couple of times, and he sort of started pushing the grabblers, right? He was pushing the anti-Jew type narrative. And Alex kind of cut him off, stopped having him on. So he went on this whole tirade against Alex Jones and how Alex Jones is a shill. And so Alex has not always been where he's at right now when it comes to talking about Israel.
They did Venezuela to build up his confidence, because Venezuela,
which in my opinion is just another example of going along with what's popular for the clicks and the views, not necessarily believing it or not.
Venezuela is a totally different story. 28 million people. The regime's not loyal.
They did the limited bombing thing and let him negotiate and have Israel stand down. They did that thing last year, I said, to get his confidence up with Iran.
You did say that. I remember I was down there and you said exactly that. And I think that is quite literally the play, which is you get that momentum, you get that inertia, and
continue freedom. Owen has lost his ever-loving mind. He's gone Gary Busey insane. I love Gary Busey, man. Don't be comparing Owen Benjamin to my boy Gary Busey, all right? And Owen Benjamin, it's hard to believe what he's saying most of the time, because I feel like most of the time he's just trying to make jokes that aren't funny. Every once in a while he gets a good one, but it's tough to tell when Owen Benjamin is actually being serious or if he's just doing a bit.
I'm sure they told him that this would create a deterrent effect. You do it to Venezuela, you can bring the force to Iran and say,
and
hey,
let's
look,
remember, they got
what we did
top
to this
psychologists.
guy.
The really good ones are studying.
He sucks.
I mean, they're pitching him bullshit, seeing what works, going back. I mean, it's disgusting.
It is, and they manipulate him. You know, people say it's blackmail. People say they got a tape of him. I don't think it's that complicated. I think that they surround him, they saturate his information diet, and and they form his opinions. They create the options. And the question is, where's the personnel? Where's Tulsi Gabbard? Isn't she the DNI? Where is she? Where's Vance? Where's Rubio? These are all supposed to be America First people that we were supposed to be excited about in the cabinet. And what we find from the Times is that not even a single one of them told Trump not to do it. And these were all ostensibly supposed to be against the endless wars, the Middle Eastern conflicts.
By the way, I didn't think you were wrong 2 years ago when you predicted this, or last year when you said it. I hope we could avert this. But clearly now, if you follow Trump's psychology, I think he just doubles down. So where does that go?
So I think that it will end in regime change one way or another. You know, what happens imminently is sort of unpredictable. It's hard to imagine how exactly the Iranians respond and what the Trump administration has up its sleeves in terms of escalation. But I think that Israel, clearly they're driving the policy. They've orchestrated all of these events. They're not letting go until there's a regime change. And what Israel wants, they get. So I think that before the 4 years are up, you're going to see a full-scale regime change. And for that to happen, there's going to need to be a ground presence. Maybe that's partial U.S., partially it's militia or it's Kurds. I believe that is what was driving the protests even a month ago. It was all in the western half of the country, in the Kurdish part. And they said that these were people clad in black and they had automatic weapons and they appeared to be trained. So I imagine it's going to be some kind of smart power, multi-domain operation with the militias armed, maybe from Iraqi Kurdistan, which shares the border, and maybe from Turkey. And I think there's going to be some kind of force that comes in and forces a transition. I think that's, when you work out the math on that, I think that's all but inevitable. And it seems unlikely now, but it seemed unlikely that we'd be here. It seemed unlikely we'd be bombing Iran into submission or that we'd bomb their nuclear program a year ago. It just keeps escalating in that direction.
You predicted it.
Yeah, so Nick is saying it seems unlikely that we would be doing any of that, yet years ago he was saying this is what was going to happen. So is he just contradicting his own stance there? Well, it seemed unlikely, yet he's yelling that this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. You elect Trump and we're going to have war in Iran. But it seemed unlikely. I don't understand how he makes that argument.
Because I watch your show. I watch clips almost every day, but whenever I can, I watch, when I work out, hours of it, every few days. You literally, it was uncanny. I remember laid all.
Would you rather listen to Candace tell you that it's all the Jews' fault? Or Ian Carroll? Or Baron Coleman? Matt Walsh, I think now is even on this train. Everybody is saying this. And then there's a few people pushing back against it online. I mean, I'm sure that like the majority of people aren't like, oh, Israel bad, we must get rid, like, but as far as the internet goes, I don't know who's not saying this or who's not talking about this. And Nick, in my opinion, this is hard for me to say, guys. All right. But out of all the people on the internet talking, Nick is crazy. There's all kinds of definitions for him. Troll, right? Charlatan or whatever. I forget the term. Doesn't matter, right? He's probably the smartest one.
All this out 2 years ago. How did you know that? You just knew their policy?
They said it.
Yeah.
They said it openly. I appreciate you saying that. And it is true. I did predict it almost to the letter, but they were basically saying this in October 2023. Right after the October 7th attacks, the Israelis all came out and
continue freedom. Nick is a walking contradiction, in my opinion, for goodness sake. He says he's America first and called for an end to free markets. Yes, that's why I said he's a great example of how somebody can be so incredibly intelligent and so incredibly stupid at the same time. You have to, like, with Nick, what I've noticed is there are times when he's serious and then there are times when he's Nick. Most of the time he's Nick.
They said, this is going to be a regional war. We're going to destroy all the proxies.
The point is that there are a lot of people that listen to Nick Fuentes. Nick is an influencer. He has influence. That's the problem. So you can, like, when it comes to Nick, you can't just pretend this guy doesn't exist or that he's stupid and that he doesn't matter. Because unfortunately, in the world we have today, Nick is a player. Two Goats and a Dog sends in a $10 super chat just because. Thank you so much for the gifted membership to DDS Allen. Yes, thank you for the gifted memberships. That was awesome. And thank you for the super chat, Two Goats and a Dog. I'm assuming you have 2 goats and a dog, right? Or do you have more than 2 goats and a dog now? Do you have like 3 goats and 2 dogs? Or is it increasing at a rate you weren't expecting?
Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, and then we're going to cut the head off the snake. They said we're going to reset the international relations in the region that has prevailed for 50 years. And I think what they meant by that is this Islamic crescent headed by Iran, which was only the latest one after the Baathists, after the Arab coalition between Syria and Egypt. So I think that if you're really paying attention, even to the rhetoric from Trump, everybody forgets that the Israelis were whispering in Trump's ear that Iran was trying to assassinate him. Why do you think they did that? It's because they were already laying the groundwork. That was their pre-programming to sabotage that relationship so that they could tell him when he becomes president, hey, remember, they did try to kill you. And that was always meant to spoil diplomacy between the two countries.
Sure, let me ask you this question then. Why?
Trump has never been a fan of Iran to begin with, though. So, like, I mean, granted, he didn't take any type of action necessarily in his first term. But Trump has always been sour with what's happened with Iran in the United States over that 40 plus year span. So I'm really not, like, I'm not super surprised that we're in a conflict right now with Iran. I'm not surprised. And my personal opinion, guys, I'm not a fan. Not a fan of war ever unless there's like good justification for it. And I haven't heard anything yet for me that makes what's happening right now good enough of a justification for boots on the ground, right? It's one thing if this is a very strategic type of strike in order to eliminate some people so that we can get a more kind of Western favorable regime in there. That's one thing. It's a whole nother thing when we're talking about sending in troops and doing a ground invasion and this turning into another Iraq, Afghanistan. Like America, for the most part, I feel like we're just sick of war, just tired of war.
Why do the Israelis for 5 years wear on a lot of their uniforms the Greater Israel map? Why do they admit it in their newspapers, then attack us and censor us when we say it, and then have dozens of articles a day, I can't even keep track of them, saying, we run America, we're the new superpower, we're going to take out Turkey, we're going to take out our allies through Obama. They took out and put the Muslim Brotherhood in. They created.
Lady Phoenix says, you know who else openly said Iran would try to get Trump? Iran. Yeah, that's... Listen, I'm not defending... Like, don't get it twisted. I'm not defending Iran. And if this is what's happening, if this is the decisions that our government has made to go full on scale against Iran, like you're going to hear me say war bad, please don't. But I'm not going to start rooting for Iran like so many morons on the internet are doing right now. I'm not going to defend Iran. I'm going to root for the United States, and I'm going to root for our men and women in uniform every single time. They are the ones I'm going to pray for. They are the ones I'm going to support. Can hate the government, but our men and women in uniform, you're out of your mind if you think I'm ever, and anybody who is rooting against them, go to hell.
Hamas. I mean, we're sitting here watching. It's not just Netanyahu; it's the other main party and their, last prime minister saying we're going to get Turkey and others next. I mean, and then they think we're going to go to war now with Turkey, the biggest conventional military in Europe. I mean, it's like there's this giant buffet, and Israel's like 1,000-pound fat person that wants us to sit there and hand feed all this at our expense. I mean, this is just megalomaniac. So I know Israel's smart in an evil way, but why do they brag? And I guess to enrage everybody else that's awake, because that just adds to the furor. Or what's going on here?
I think that is a deliberate provocation. I think that, part of their entire MO is they actually need the conflict. They feed on the conflict. All of this was the result from October 7th. And after all, what was October 7th? Well, they called it the Al-Aqsa flood operation. What is Al-Aqsa? That is the mosque. That's the Temple Mount. That's the Dome on the Rock.
Joe Morton, newest mod. You were here super early, bro. Thanks for the help. I appreciate it.
which is in Jerusalem, which is the center really of the occupied territory dispute. That the Palestinians claim East Jerusalem as the capital, and they claim that's their third holiest mosque in Islam. And what the Jews did in Israel that precipitated the October 7th attack is they had all of these Jews go to the Dome on the Rock, go to the mosque in Jerusalem, to the Al-Aqsa compound, and they started doing their religious rites in a very provocative way. And actually, that was the precipitating cause.
And killing the red heifer.
Yes, finding the red heifer, the unblemished heifer and everything. And it was deliberately intended to.
Nikki 5690, I'm just tired of hearing the Israel blame from everyone. If you're already fatigued, you may want to just get off of the internet, because this Israel stuff, this is only going to get bigger and louder, this anti-Israel stuff. This isn't anywhere close to being done. I'm not sure where this goes, to be honest with you. But it has only grown. And I've been following this crap since it was basically underground internet. It wasn't mainstream. There wasn't, YouTube did a really good job early on of keeping, not a good. YouTube was effective in making sure certain voices were not on their platform, as well as many others. Okay. But this has been something that I've watched grow and grow and grow. And it is just now getting to a point where a lot of people are hearing it. And we've just gotten started. So brace yourselves, because the anti-Israel stuff is going to explode.
Provoke the Muslims into a response. And I think that the stuff about Greater Israel, the goal is the same. It is to provoke these countries into conflict, because ultimately that is the way they're going to achieve their goals, is to elicit hostility. And then that's the pretext to bring in the United States to fight their wars for them. And I think that's the playbook from day one. So that is all part of it. Telegraphing that, signaling that's all part of the sick agenda, sadly.
No, I agree. So let's unpack this, and how do we stop it? How do we stop it? We'll be right back with Nick Fuentes. Stay with us here on live feeds now. Stuff.
May even be popular. And so I think Trump is actually okay with this. I think that Trump, the way he sees it, because he said this the other day, he said, I don't care about approval ratings. He said, and I'll put boots on the ground. I don't care. Now, obviously he cares on some level, but I think in his mind, this is all.
Yeah, he better care about a bunch of dead troops. I mean, you talk about, we're talking, it'll make Vietnam numbers look tame.
One thing I think everybody has to be careful with is what we see coming out of this administration in the media, right? I don't know. Anytime we're doing things like this, I'm not sure who the president, who the secretary, I'm not sure who these people are talking to. If they're talking to us, the people, or if they're talking to people, the enemy that might be listening. Do you understand? They're not just going to come out and share all of the goods with us. That's not going to happen. And certain things that they're saying, are they meant for us? You know what I mean? Like when Trump comes out and says, not sure how long this might go. This could go for a few weeks. JD Vance comes out and says, don't know how long this go. This could take. Are they talking to us, or is this sort of just like an open threat to Iran? So Iran isn't real sure what it is that they're trying to do. But we just take, well, they're talking in the media, so obviously they're telling us what's going on. No, I don't think that's the case most of the time. I think most of the time they're talking to the people who they think would be, you know what I mean? I don't think that's for us.
Well,
I mean, because that makes the most sense, right? Then it's going to come out in public on public media that people in the enemy is going to have access to, right? All over the internet. They're not just going to come out and say what their plans are.
It depends on what they do. If it's a full-scale invasion, you're absolutely right, because they will try to inflict maximum casualties, and it will get ugly. It will be like Iraq.
There's obviously already special forces there before this happened. I'm talking about a real invasion to, quote, secure the Strait of Hormuz or whatever. That's how they'll start it. It's a disaster.
Right. Yeah. And I agree. And I think that, on some level, he obviously cares about these things, but this is part of the bluff. This is part of the gambit, which is, partially, I think some of the things he's saying is meant to signal to the Iranians.
a little bit at a time, says Nick is trying to start a third party. He is not trying to start a third party. I believe he's talked about this. It's futile to try to start a third party. You need a giant following, and you need millions and millions of dollars to be able to get ballot access in all 50 states. I don't believe he's trying to start a third party. He's trying to change the Republican Party. He wants, I mean, he talks about it. I don't know if he's not trying to start a third party. That would be pointless.
That things could get worse. If the
Take
goal,
it from somebody
if the
who's been
outcome
on
that
the
you
third
desire
party
is for a
train most of
pragmatic
his
faction to take
voting
power,
life.
negotiate with the United States, well, to persuade them that that is the logical course, you would actually need to convince them that things could get worse.
And that's why
because
they just had the council meeting to elect a new mullah who didn't want peace right now. They just killed them today. So he's hoping like maybe the...
He literally just said last night that third parties are stupid. That doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me at all.
next group's less radical. But as you said on your show a few days ago, and it's true, as you go down the chain, they get more radical and stupider.
Yes, and that is why he's trying to persuade them that it could always get worse. I'm sure in their mind, in Trump's mind,
There's continue freedom. A third party will never work. That is why Charlie Kirk said he wanted to reform the Republican Party. There is too much political infrastructure to build from scratch. This is, in my opinion, what you are seeing with all of this conflict right now with these political influencers. Since Charlie Kirk is no longer a voice, there is a power vacuum happening where people are now pushing and they want to manipulate the Republican Party into becoming what they want. You're seeing that right now. That, in my opinion, that's what's happening clear as day. More so than the views, more so than the clicks, more so than the money. It's the power struggle happening right now in the Republican Party. And a big reason it's happening the way it's happening is because of what happened to Charlie Kirk, because he's no longer the glue that's holding this coalition together. So people are now just, that's it. Gloves are off and everybody is saying the wildest, craziest crap they can to get as much attention as they can to push their agenda. And here's the deal, right? A lot of these people, I don't know that they're necessarily leftists or that they want the left to win. But if the left does win, and the way that how they've been carrying themselves, the crap that they've been saying, all the predictions that they've been making, if the left does win, that makes them right and means that, well, you should have supported my vision of what the Republican Party should have been, and we wouldn't be in this mess. So if they can push their viewers to either not vote or maybe even as far as going out to vote for the left, well, that makes them right, doesn't it? It means that their vision is better, because here's the proof. We lost because we weren't voting for people that believe what I believe.
he's thinking that these Iranians expect that maybe they could ride out the storm. If they could survive, if they could hide out in shelters, then maybe there's going to be some continuity of government. And Trump is trying to persuade them that if they don't capitulate.
And if we go back to Candace, right, and we watch what Candace is doing with this Erica Kirk series, guys, I took a guess. I took a shot in the dark that I haven't even watched I haven't watched since the second one. Has she done anything? Has she linked anything to 910 yet in any way, shape, or form? Or is she just going through and trying to find things that are weird with Erica Kirk? I made a prediction that that's all that was going to be, because her viewers don't need a conclusion. They don't care about a conclusion. They just want things to be weird with Erica Kirk. And the more Candace can give them, regardless of how far-fetched the examples are, the more she can give them examples of how weird Erica Kirk is, the more it solidifies their conclusion and their position that Erica Kirk and TPUSA betrayed Charlie and were involved in some way, shape, or form. That's it. That's all she's doing. Unless I'm wrong. Like I said, I haven't watched since the second one. But that was my prediction going into it.
It could get worse. The bottom could continue to fall out from under them.
And by the way,
what they really don't want.
influence farmers will say you just endorsed Trump. No, when you war game what he's thinking, you're not endorsing that.
Right. No, we're
Benjamin says all roads lead to Jew for Candace on everything. And that's the biggest problem. Candace she doesn't even have original thought. These aren't original ideas coming from Candace Owens about Israel and about she's getting this stuff from people like Myron Gaines, from Ryan Dawson, from Ian Carroll. These aren't her ideas. She just happens to have one of the largest audiences out of all of them. And a very different audience, really. You know what I mean? The people that watch Myron is probably a very different audience from the people that watch Candace Owens. And the people that watch Candace Owens is probably a very different audience from the people that watch or listen to Ryan Dawson. Maybe Ian Carroll, she has quite a bit of crossover with, hard to say. But they are reaching different people with the same talking points. Candace Owens she's not, come on guys. Candace Owens is not coming up with this crap on her own.
we're purely speculating about his state of mind and what his approach is. And so I think
but you see the clips of you where they take you wargaming and say that's the same thing to me. That's what they do. I just want to get that out there.
They always. Yeah, well, and I consider those people to be third worldists because they're really arguing for Iran in and of itself, or Venezuela in and of itself, or China. And me, I look at.
So Baron Coleman, all right, is Mike Klikovich says, I think she gets most of it from Baron Coleman. Baron Coleman was not even aware of who Ryan Dawson was. Not that that's saying anything, but when you have somebody like Ian Carroll is very aware of who Ryan Dawson is. And I would argue that most of Ian Carroll's talking points when it comes to the Jews, he is stolen from Ryan Dawson. I don't know if he credits Ryan Dawson ever. He might. But for the most part, that's where that's coming from. Okay. Baron Coleman had never even heard of Ryan Dawson. And as far as I can tell, Baron Coleman was super Trump, super right, right? He may even been a neocon for all I know. It wouldn't surprise me. Okay. But until Ian Carroll clicked up with Baron Coleman and that whole thing got going on, I don't think you would have heard much about Baron Coleman in Israel. Crazy how that happens, isn't it? It's wild. These people aren't thinking for themselves.
At Iran, not as a great country. I mean,
they are seeing where the grift is going, and they are going with the grift.
They're a Muslim theocracy, but I look at them as a country that, one, they're a sovereign state, so I don't think we have business going in and killing their leader.
Potential to destroy us and bring down the economy. So.
Right, and I would go further than that. They balance Israel. There's a balance between Iran and Israel. I don't know that that's the worst thing in the world, because if you have two very powerful states,
Israel needs to be contained. Now why are they now publicly admitting everywhere? I'm sure you've seen it, that we're taking everything, including their allies. Like it'd be like if my neighbor said, I just went over and screwed my neighbor's wife, and your wife's next.
I have a question for you guys. Maybe you can help me understand. Everything I've heard is always anti-Israel. Israel they're the real terrorists. They're the real people causing all of the destruction. They're the ones responsible for everything. Right? They're pushing the real terror. What is the solution? What are these people's solution? Is the solution regime change in Israel? It can't be a religious thing, because most of the people in Israel, I don't believe, are practicing Jews, right? I could be wrong. But what is the solution? To just cut ties with Israel completely? Do you think that's going to stop Israel? Israel's not going to form allies with somebody else? I don't understand what the solution is. I don't hear solutions from these people. Or what, you know what I mean? I can't, correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Have you guys heard any solutions from anybody about how we deal with Israel? I've heard one person say what their solution is to Israel. Okay, it's more than one. It's a few. But let's be honest, they're fringe, and that's basically annihilate them. Like, okay, crazy. Let's not just wipe people off, a whole civilization of people off the face of the planet. Feel like that's bad, right? That's bad. We're against wiping people off the face of the earth over here, but not these people. Like, how about just no? So what's the solution? I don't get any solutions from these guys. Listen to Dave Smith's episode from today. Philip Tabarick. Does he give a solution? What is his solution? And how does it stop Israel from being Israel? Because from the sounds of it, right, we have Rubio, okay? Let's just say that he wasn't taken out of context there. Let's just say that that's not what that he said exactly what he meant, and that Israel was going to strike anyway. So to try to remove as many casualties as possible from their retaliation, we decided to strike first because we knew Israel was going to do it anyway. Would Israel have still done that if the United States wasn't on board? Probably, right? Or not. But I would think they would have still done it. And would we have not at least supplied them with all of their weaponry? Continued to do so like we've been doing with Ukraine? Remember the Ukraine thing? What happened to Russia and Ukraine? Are they still at war? We're just not talking about that one anymore. Right? Iran's so bad, yet all of Iran's allies are nowhere to be found. Where are they at? You see, Russia, what'd they do? What'd they say? China, what are they doing? All of these Iranian allies, and they're just nowhere to be found. But I haven't yet heard like a solution to if Israel's so bad and they're so evil, like how do we stop Israel? Okay, I'm waiting for these guys a solution instead of just Israel being the problem for everything and we need to vote based on Israel being the problem for everything. How do we solve the problem that doesn't involve annihilation?
Yeah, like I said, I think it's a provocation. It's intended to be provocative. They actually do not want peace in the region, and all of this is based on fueling this ongoing conflict. They don't want it.
Same reason they stood down on October 7th. Same reason they founded Hamas.
Yes, and Americans are under the impression that we're desperate to make a deal, and there's this peace that is just always elusive, always out of reach. If only the Muslims would just relax. But it takes two to tango here. The Israelis, they are the ones that actually want the conflict.
Any large government with any type of intelligence agency does this all of the time. They use proxies, they create proxies all of the time. This isn't just an Israel thing. This is not just an American thing.
Conflict. They didn't want to deal with Iran. If they get a deal with Iran, that they don't get to topple the Iranian regime. If Iran gets a deal with the United States, maybe they give up their nukes on some timeline, but they also get to normalize their trade relations and diplomatic relations with all the countries in the region.
Israel wants to keep it in no man's land and keep them in the timeout box.
Yes, they want to maintain that kind of operational control.
Lisa Longo, I'm assuming you replied to somebody. No, it's not automatically an endless war. There's no such thing as an endless war. All wars end, but then sometimes they just start again. But this whole, like, I don't know why they say endless war. I hate when they say endless war. Can you just say long conflict? Or long war? Like, we don't want a long, expensive, drawn out war that leads to nothing, that leads to no benefit to the American people in any way, shape, or form. Can we just say that? We have to use like buzzwords like endless war. We're in another endless war. Well, I mean, the Iraq and Afghanistan was not an endless war that ended, I think, from what I can tell. But like that was a long, crappy one. That, I mean, you can have your opinion on. I don't know that anybody has a favorable opinion about that war anymore. But this whole like endless war talk, but just a short one. Short precision strikes to achieve a goal as opposed to invasions. I don't know that we need to be doing invasions anymore. Or at least unless it's like super justified. And so far, like I said before, I haven't seen or heard anything that justifies that to me. So I'm really hoping that we don't see that happen. That would suck. I would not. I mean, I'm already not in favor of this, but that would definitely, that would push me over the edge. And I would be very, I mean, I guess not like super outspoken, but I would voice my opinion on it. But it doesn't mean I'm going to go vote for a Democrat. Like, these people are insane.
Oh, like they had in Syria, where they can control the airspace and they can just drop bombs, and then they could ultimately control the outcome in that country and make it significantly weaker. So that's the sick logic of Israel's grand.
Renee Macia says, they said Venezuela was another endless war. Lasted about 3 hours. Look, I don't blame people for being like super paranoid, right? Like, they have good reason to be. Iraq, Afghanistan, that was terrible. And that was like, I feel like people like think that was so long ago. That wasn't that long ago. So yeah, Americans we're going to be a little shaken up anytime we see any new conflict over in the Middle East. Like, I don't blame them for that. Like, be careful that you don't let your personal bias towards like your favorite talking heads or whatever. Don't let that like make you perceive anybody who might be against this war as bad, because that's not the case. So just be careful with that, that we don't get into a left versus right. I got to pick a side here. You don't have to pick a side. You can look at this logically and form your own opinion on it, right? War bad. Don't like war. Not going to root for Iran. Not going to root against our troops. Ain't happening. However much I dislike the government, however much I dislike the cause for the war, if we're in there, I'm going to say war bad. Please bring them home. By the way, go USA. Love our troops. Kick some ass. Come back safe. We don't have to, like, it's not a one or the other. And then we have like our own people coming out and saying how America are the largest terrorists on the planet. Yeah, that's not going to help anything. America, who? Like the people who? Certain administrations that get into power? We act like it's a good guy versus bad guy thing. Like the world is cowboys and Indians, right? Or it's cops and robbers. That's just not how the world works. It's just not the way it works. It'd be cool if it did, and I'd really like to be the good guys in the scenario, but that's just not how the world works. Everybody like looks at this from like a third grade level, and it drives me nuts. There is so much gray area. Things are incredibly complex. And I don't know if there's necessarily a good guy or a bad guy. There's just a those guys and an us guys. And regardless of what happens, I'm going to be an us guy.
Strategy.
We have a full sales job now by Netanyahu, Trump, and now Vance. We have the clips that it may last a little while, a long time. It may last forever. We're being sold on a forever war right now. Here's my problem. I don't want the Democrats opening the border. I like Trump killing the carbon tax. I like the no tax on tips. There's all this good stuff.
I'm actually a little bothered that he's sharing Robert Barnes stuff. I'm a huge Robert Barnes fan. And one little smart ass comment from me, he blocked me. The little sensitive bastard, or big sensitive bastard. Can I say that on YouTube? Doesn't matter. Anyway, I got blocked by Robert Barnes because I made a joke and he couldn't handle it because he's so sensitive. Still a fan of Robert Barnes. He generally has really good takes, but man, is he being a sensitive little bee right now.
Stuff, but rapidly, like I can like ignore some stuff and hold my nose with Trump, but quickly, I mean, by the hour, I morally cannot be part of this. You're already there saying vote Democrat. I get you're saying that as a carrot and the stick, but I mean, what the hell's going on here?
I think you have to. I think you have to vote Democrat in 26, and I'll tell you why. I mean, we're being told always that the Republicans are.
I don't know if you guys caught the way Alex he was like, oh man, he just said that. Oh, here we go. No, you don't have to vote Democrat. Okay. And here's what I think Nick is doing. Nick knows he has a large audience. Nick knows all of this stuff is going to get clipped and it's going to be spread all over social media. Nick is well aware that certain people are going to see what Nick Fuentes is saying. And if you know who I'm talking about, you know who I'm talking about. If you don't, I'm talking about people in our government. Okay. They're going to see what Nick Fuentes is saying. And Nick knows this. So what's Nick's strategy to try to push back against the decisions that our government is doing that he doesn't like? By saying that they need to go vote Democrat now. Do I honestly believe that Nick Fuentes is going to, I don't even know if Nick votes, right? But do I honestly believe that Nick Fuentes is going to go vote Democrat? Not to mention, does it matter? Doesn't he live in Chicago? I feel like his vote doesn't count anyway. But I think this is just more of like an open air threat to try to make sure that we're aware that I've got all my followers. And if you guys don't knock this off, if we don't get out of this ASAP, I'm going to keep telling people to vote Democrat. He put a few tweets out. I don't know very many people that follow Nick Fuentes that are actually going to vote Democrat. From everything I saw, he was getting some pretty serious pushback from the Groypers. Granted, there's always some that are there, but most of the Groypers are not stupid people. Okay, they're not going to go vote Democrat. We just had 4 years of Democrats. You guys remember that? That was not a good time. That was not fun, right? We were talking like, instead of war in Iran, we basically had war on our people here. Like, yeah, no, not going to vote for that. That's not going to happen. Here's what we could do. Maybe go through, check out the primaries, see who it is that's running, and maybe vote for the Republican that Trump isn't endorsing if you want to push back and get your message across. But to just go, I'm going to go vote Democrat. Like, have fun there in Chicago voting. Because, I mean, I feel like you probably do. You do anyway if you're in Chicago. It's just an automatic thing, right? Even if you select R, they change that to the D.
The lesser of two evils, that, they're going to be marginally better than the Democrats. Look at all of the broken promises. Epstein files, that's huge.
But the point that I'm making is this is a posturing thing with Nick Fuentes, in my opinion. I mean, maybe he's absolutely telling the truth and he wants everybody to go vote Democrat, even though he says he hate. But in my opinion, this is just a posturing thing. It's being loud. It's showing the GOP, the current people in charge, that you do not approve of what they're doing. And this is, you know what I mean? So I think it's talk. I think it's a lot of talk.
It's huge. And let's be honest, they tried to cover it up. It's not like they fumbled that. It's not like they made a mistake. They engaged in an active cover-up, and they failed only because of a revolt within their own party. And now Marjorie Greene is an outcast. She was like...
Philip Tabarek says Thomas Massey. Boy, Thomas got a lot of hate, man, because he pushed back against Trump, right? I don't dislike Thomas Massey. I think he's kind of I think Thomas Massey is kind of a putz. I'm very, very in favor of his stance on the Second Amendment. I really appreciated that with Thomas Massey when he was pushing back against, stupid bump stock rules and all that. So it's not like I'm going to go vote for Thomas Massey for president of the United States or anything. Like, that's not going to happen. But I don't dislike Thomas Massey.
The MAGA congresswoman. She was like the one in Congress who came after Trump won the election. She's an outcast because she led the coup to get the Epstein files released. That's a big one. Then you got the deportations. They haven't started on the border wall. And even though they secured the border, look, they secured the border in 2020. What good did that do when Joe Biden came into power? Nothing, because then he just overturned all the executive orders and they came pouring in. That's why you need the wall. They haven't started it. 230,000 deportations. It isn't happening. And now we're in a regime change war with Iran. You've been around. I've been around.
Nick actually brings up a pretty good point here, guys. How come we're not finishing the wall? Well, from a political standpoint, you have to have something to vote for, right? Democrats come in, completely open borders. What do we run on? Or by we, the Republicans, what do they run on? We're going to shut down the border. We're going to deport. Well, if you solve all of those problems permanently, what's your next talking point to run on? Like, this is a political game and it goes both ways, right? The Democrats did this with abortion for so many years. That's why they never codified it or whatever, because they knew that they had to have that danger of the Republicans overturning it to try to pull votes. Wouldn't surprise me at all if the GOP isn't doing the same thing here when it comes to immigration. Like, at the end of the day, guys, these are still political people playing games for power. Regardless of how you feel about them, if you're all hoorah for one person or one party, they're still playing a political game of power.
Not as long as you, but for some time. regime change in Iran is like synonymous with the neocons' ultimate master plan. That is like the number one thing on Israel's wish
jewel
list.
in the crown. It was the whole Middle East strategy and the Rebuilding America's Defenses PNAC plan 2020 or 2000 was this.
Yes, and even further than that, going back to clean.
Hannah Camacho says it's 1 a.m. and hungry, and this is the only way I could catch you live. Welcome. How's the weather in Hungary?
Break in 96. This has always been the plan. And for a time, we thought that was unthinkable. We thought that Trump winning made that impossible. So for Trump to be the one to take us there and sell it and push it and trigger it, and now we're in a regime change war with Iran, it's almost unbelievable to even say that. Thousands of American and Israeli airstrikes destroying Iran's military. Here's how I feel about it. If you will tolerate that, you will tolerate anything. At what point do you say no? At what point?
Hannah Camacho says ice is falling in thunderstorms. That sounds terrible, or maybe great if you like thunderstorms.
Do you say there's no excuses? People say, well, if there's boots on the ground, dude, they're dropping bombs everywhere, and it's in Iran. So for me, I said that's the last straw. I'm out. And you know me, I'm the furthest thing from a Democrat. I'm far right. I'm not left wing or even liberal. I don't consider myself even a center liberal or a right liberal.
Let's talk about that. Democrats get in. Isn't that an accelerationist?
No, I think that.
Yes. Alex is correct. Yes. Nick tries to defend this. Nick is young and a little ignorant, thinking that, like, guys, how many, for those of you that have been around here a little bit more than 20 something years, okay, for those of you or those of us who have been around a little bit, how many times have we seen the Democrat and Republican flip-flop in the House, the Senate, and the presidency? We only have two choices, guys. There's only two parties. You're not gonna teach the Republicans in power right now a lesson by voting for the Democrats. What's the lesson that they're going to learn? Nothing, because your memories are so incredibly short term that it doesn't matter. Come the next election rounds, they're just going to figure out what the popular thing to say is, and guess what they're going to do? They're going to say it. Or the Dems are going to be so bad that the right isn't going to even have to say what they're going to do. They're just going to have to go, look at how crappy this is. Look at how bad this is. This isn't going to teach the Republicans a lesson. That's such a, like, good luck teaching these people any kind of lesson. If that were the case, and when we voted, our government learned lessons, we wouldn't be where we are today. We wouldn't have the Democrat Party that we do today, and we wouldn't have the Republican Party that we do today if they learned their lessons. Such a boner take. Can I say that?
I don't know that I would characterize it as accelerationist. I would characterize it as corrective. And it's sending a message to the GOP before the big one, which is 28.
Yeah,
in
you're
my
saying
view,
the only
28.
That's it. You nailed it. You nailed it, Philip. So just lesser evil, us into oblivion. Yeah. Correct. What's your plan otherwise? What else you got? I've been waiting for somebody to have an actual solution to our problem. And I haven't seen it yet. Alex Jones has been fighting against the globalists for 40 years. How's it going? I'm not like a full-on doomer. I just think, like, maybe someday.
We've got is the wake-up call.
Right. And, 28, we got to win that one. I really believe a Republican.
I thought that's what we were doing in this last election, or the last few. I thought that's what we were doing. Crazy. Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham are still running amok, aren't they? It's incredible. Who's voting for these people? Let's just say for a second that you guys believe that elections can be rigged. Somebody explain to me how somebody is in Congress for 30 or 40 years. They don't just automatically get primaried at some point because people are sick and tired of the same old thing. I don't know how much I don't know how much I can say on the internet, on YouTube about this stuff. But I don't think we've had real elections in this country for a very long time. I think there are certain interests and people want certain people in and they get them in and they keep them in. How's that possible? How's that possible? This country is so bipolar, according to the way elections run, that we're flip-flopping back and forth between Democrat and Republican basically every 2 years, it seems like. Yet these same people can be in office for decades and decades. They don't just get bored of that one person and they're like, you know what? Let's try somebody else. Let's try somebody else. Somebody like we've got some serious problems in this country. All right. And as far as holding politicians to an objective standard, that doesn't work if they can just win it anyway. And I don't mean win in the sense that they got the most votes, all right? Or not legitimately got the most votes.
Republicans got to win, but we need it to be the right Republican.
And that's not a left or right thing, guys. I feel like that is a right down the middle political thing.
If there's any other language they will understand other than to show them we're not showing up in 26. And what's more, I also think that Vance and Rubio are to blame in this as well. If they couldn't stop a war in Iran when they're in power now, how are they going to make the decision when they become the president?
We knew Rubio's a deep state guy. He's been, quote, doing a good job for what we wanted till now. But Vance was an open thing. He's come out now and said we may be there in a long war. So Vance is definitely getting in line with that. In fact, speaking of the devil, let's go to those clips first. Here's Thune, the leader of the Senate, saying Trump doesn't need a war powers. He has authorization, which no, he doesn't. This is pure war, folks. This is not blow up their weapons. This is regime change. And then Vance saying the same thing and then saying basically this could be a forever war. And then I want to go through these other clips, but here it is.
Would you think the Congress would need to authorize any military action against Iran beyond the 60-day or 90-day window?
No. I think the president has the authority that he needs to conduct the activities, the operations that are currently underway there. As you know, there's a lot of controversy around questions around the War Powers Act, but I think the president is acting in the best interest of the nation and our national security interests by ensuring.
Nikki says Nick hates JD Vance. He doesn't want JD. Has Nick said anybody that he likes besides Hitler? Like, who right now in any, like, has Nick said we should get this guy? This is the guy that we should try to vote for and put in. Somebody help me. Somebody who watches Nick more than me, help me in the chat. Who has Nick said that he would support in either 26 or in 28? That isn't Hitler.
That he's protecting Americans and American bases and installations in that region, as well as those of our allies.
We'll go back and get Nick Fuentes' take on this, but Marco Rubio yesterday. Israel launched the attack. They were going to attack us. We had to attack them because they would attack us if we attacked them. Thune just said, we attacked them, so they're going to attack us, so now we have to authorize the war. So we attack somebody, so the president doesn't have a War Powers Act because he has the power to attack somebody. I mean, this is insane. Continue.
Okay, was that serious? Or did you guys miss the Nick part of that?
The United States has a lot of optionality here. And, you know, we could go for a little bit longer.
Right, but Benjamin says he said he'd vote Gavin over JD because he thinks Newsom is more attractive. Right, that's a Nick thing to say, okay? Who has he said anybody on the right, any political, like anybody, even a podcast or somebody where Nick's like, you know what, I would vote or I would support this guy? No, because Nick doesn't have solutions either. Just talks trash on the internet for attention. Some of his takes are based. Some of his takes are complete idiocy.
We could go for a lot longer, but I think the president just wants to make it clear to the Iranians and to the world that he is not going to rest until he accomplishes that all-important objective of ensuring that Iran can't have a nuclear weapon, not just for the next few years, not just because we obliterated Fordow or some other enrichment facility, but because the Iranians themselves commit long-term to not building a nuclear weapon.
So we've gone from oh, we successfully destroyed their nuclear stuff, which I said was BS, to now total war. Nick Fuentes.
Yeah, they said last year that the program was completely obliterated. And, you know, we've almost even talked past the point. It's sort of interesting. Last year, the pretext for bombing Iran in the first place was that they were racing towards a nuclear bomb. When Israel hit Iran on June 13, 25, they said, well, Iran was going to strike us and they were racing towards a device. That's why we had to preempt that by striking them. And then, of course, the U.S. intervened to finish the job at Fordo and Natanz, which only we could do with the bunker busters from the B-2 bombers. Well, then in January, when these protests started in Iran, all of a sudden that shifted. And Trump came out and said, well, we were going to attack Iran, but we couldn't topple the regime in one blow. And you say, well, wait a second. I thought Israel and the United States attacked Iran last year.
Lisa Longo, the Iranian civilians are celebrating Trump and the U.S. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I'm sure there's a lot of Iranians that are very happy, and I'm sure there's a lot that are not. I got to be careful what I say. It would be kind of the same way in the U.S. Like if, look, just take, for example, what happened on 9/10. There were people that were very happy about that. There were people that were not happy about that. You're going to get that anywhere. I don't know what the statistics are or the exact statistics as the number that actually support. I get a little nervous when it comes to statistics because depending on where the sources are, you know what I mean? There's so much propaganda and there's so much bias. It's hard to just get the straight facts on anything anymore. It's so difficult.
Here because they were on their way to a nuke, but then we took care of it and we blew up their program. Now they're saying, well, we couldn't bomb Iran at our discretion in January because it wasn't going to topple the regime. And you say topple the regime. I thought
That's another question I have. Okay, so Donnie Mac says, if Israel does what they claim they do, I tip my hat to them. I'm also glad that they are our ally. They are the smallest ethnic group and most persecuted, but somehow came to rule the world. I don't know if I have anybody in the chat who leans towards the anti-Israel stuff, but can somebody tell me the problem that they have or why it would be a problem if Israel to have more of an influence in the Middle East than they currently do? Is it just that they're gonna like unalive more people? Because they're like, I mean, war's bad, right? Not a big fan of unaliving, unless there's a really good reason for it. But if that's like the only argument as to why you don't like Israel is Israel bad cause unalive people, like all governments do that, or not all, but a good portion of them. So then, you know what I mean? Like I'm legitimately seeing people support Iran and what that regime stood for. How? How do you support that? If you're so against unaliving people and you want peace, how do you support, like, I feel like you just don't get to talk now. You can't really support anybody because they're all guilty of it.
Was about the nuclear program. And like you say, now we're in it. Now we're in a full-fledged regime change war. And you wonder, who made this decision exactly? Who voted for this? Why is this happening?
Israel, I don't even know if they're like an actual listed ally, okay? Israel and America's interests sometimes align. Sometimes they don't, okay? But we know that Israel tries to spy on Americans, especially government, all the time. And I can only imagine that we're doing the same thing to them. I'm sure we're spying on all of our allies, and I would hope that they're all doing the same thing. This is how the world works, right? There's no like best buddies and we just all of our stars align just all of the time. And we're all like, the only time I would think that America and Israel do something is if it's somehow in both Israel and America's interests. Can't imagine that Israel's just like, well, this only really benefits us, but you're going to come along. And then America's like, yeah, okay, no problem. I don't believe that ever to be the case, because there are plenty of corrupt people in the United States that they would see a situation and they can definitely make that benefit themselves in some way, shape, or form, like we saw with Iraq and Afghanistan, right? People will say, well, that was just Israel's war. There was quite a few non-Israel people in our government that benefited from that. Very much so. To the point where I don't think they needed Israel to justify that in any way, shape, or form.
Arguably, it is within, I think, America's interest to prevent Iran from acquiring a nuclear weapon. And if they're about to imminently acquire them, a case could be made. I don't know that I would make it, but in a theoretical, a case could be made that the
continue freedom. Heck, we spied on Angela Merkel. South Korea spied on us. Yeah, it's fun and games, man. It's fun and games. It's just the way the world works. Everybody's so cops and robbers and black and white about this stuff. It's amazing to me. Like I get it. I understand not wanting to be in a very drawn out, prolonged war of invasion here. I get that. But to pretend like this is, to go as far as to be like, yay, Iran. These people are retarded.
United States might preempt that
The
by
point is they've
intervening in Iran.
abandoned that cover story, and Trump says, oh, we killed 47, now we'll kill the rest. It's all about regime change now.
What are you guys talking about?
Which, under the law, is illegal to preemptively attack somebody saying, I want regime change. So Trump's being set up here with major impeachment charges.
Well, and they're throwing everything out there. It's the dead protesters. It's the nuclear program. It's the missiles. It's just like Iraq. It's exactly like Iraq. Oh, they're building a nuke, but also they did the anthrax plot, also 9/11. They just throw everything out there in the hopes that enough people are going to buy it. And like you said, there's nothing legal about this. What is the authorization for the use of force against?
It's all about who are God's chosen people. Bottom line. I think for some, it's about that. Others, it's just about power and control. And then for some, it's just money. Some people are just that simple. It's just money. Just a money-making opportunity. But I think most is power and control. And listen, we are an empire. And one of two things happen to empires. They maintain and they continue to be an empire, or they fall. And I got to be honest, like I think it's a pretty good thing living in an empire. Feels pretty good over here. I can't speak for other countries because I don't live there. But I can't think of one that I would choose over living in the United States. It's pretty awesome here. Even with how goofy and how crazy things are getting. It's like still pretty cool. You know what I mean? Like you see all this stuff on social media. Guys, when you go out and you're like normal everyday life, I'm assuming it's a lot like where I'm at, unless you're in some crazy blue city. But even then, there's parts of the crazy blue cities that are super chill and super relaxed. There's nobody like standing on the side of the road checking to see, you know, what political party your card says in your back pocket. Everybody's just going along, getting along. Prices are up. That sucks. I would like to be able to afford more things. Things are cool. I like materials. You know, I like stupid hats, guys. I can't afford all of them, right? But the United States is pretty solid, man. So whatever we can do to continue to maintain, I guess I kind of support that. I hope that it doesn't involve unaliving a bunch of innocent people for absolutely no reason. That's pretty terrible. I'm pretty against that. But I can't think of anywhere else I'd rather live than the United States. It's pretty solid here.
Against Iran. Did Congress declare war? At what point was this decision made and exactly by whom? So I don't know that this is impeachable because ironically, the Democrats support it too. Chuck Schumer came out of the closed door hearing with Marco Rubio at the State of the Union or the afternoon of and said, well, this is very serious and Trump's just going to have to make his case. there's a lot of Democrats that support this. Guys like John Fetterman, among others.
They're stepping back to not take any problems if it goes sideways, but they're behind it.
100%. I think so. And I don't think they would move against him for that. So
here's Trump saying that, no, he forced Israel's hand, even though on record the Pentagon admitted, no, we didn't know. They took the opportunity, so we had to hit. The Secretary of State says it. Trump makes him come out and say that wasn't true. Talk about congressional hearings now. What's going to happen to Rubio when he's in front of Congress? So this is very embarrassing right now. Here is Trump saying that they made him that Trump forced Israel's hand to strike first.
Gina Faye says, so many people make politics their religion. You are dead on. And I don't know how many times like people have to learn the lesson of politics over and over. But here's the reality, guys, okay? You can't always get what you want. It's just the way of life. And most of the time with politics, you rarely get anything you want. They talk a good game. Seen this over and over. I don't care what side it is. They talk a good game. They tell you all the things you want to hear. They tell you all the good things. And then as soon as they get power, well, now they're talking about something else.
During the middle of the day against our doctrine. And then why do you think Rubio came out yesterday and said Israel forced our hand? What do you think the impetus behind that was? Here it is.
Dwight Angel says, did Alex Jones become a bigger moron? No, I think he's just become a safer moron. I think he's the same. He knows like where the line is now. And the line is you can't make up lies about a school incident that happened. Like you can't say that it didn't happen. So I guess he's a smarter moron now.
President, did Israel force your hand to launch these strikes against Iran? Did Netanyahu pull the United States into this war?
No, I might have forced their hand.
Samantha Richardson, the lawsuit changed him. Listen, that was a crazy, that would change anybody. You hit me with that kind of a lawsuit and like, I don't even know it. Well, I'm probably saying some different stuff too. That's a huge lawsuit. I couldn't imagine going through that, but yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
You see, we were having negotiations with these lunatics, and it was my opinion that they were going to attack first. They were going to attack. If we didn't do it, they were going to.
I saw somebody, who was it? I think it was Luke Rakowski. I could be wrong. Somebody actually made the comment that, so Trump right here is saying he was pretty sure they were going to attack first. So he made the decision that we were going to be the first ones to attack. Let's take that at face value and say that that's true. I think it was Luke made the point that it would have been better had we let them attack first. That way, this wouldn't be such a PR nightmare for the Trump administration. I'm going to give you guys a second to digest what I just said. Okay. He made the argument that it would have been better that essentially a bunch of Americans were unalived. So that way, this wouldn't be such a PR disaster for the Trump administration. Dumbest take ever? No, you don't just wait and get attacked. If you have intelligence, right? And your intelligence is telling you, I don't even know what the percentage is where you go, no, we're not risking that. Is it 50%? Is it 30%? Is it 10%? If your intelligence is telling you that there's a 10% chance that they are going to attack us first, one of the bases over there close to them that has United States Armed Forces and citizens, there's even a 10% chance. Do you just risk that so you can have so the people aren't as mad at you when you decide to bomb them? That's such an incredible, I could not, like, sometimes people, you really just need to think about what you're going to say first before you just throw it out to the world and run with it. That's wild. How about no? How about, hey, Mr. President, it sounds like there's a 10 to 30% chance that they're going to attack us within the next 48 hours. Okay, button, push. Nope, not doing that. Not playing that game. Get them now. Like, what are we talking about? No, you don't let them kill us first so you can have the media and the people on your side. No, you make the right decision for the people of your country.
Attack first. I felt strongly about that. And we have great negotiators, great people.
I'm just saying, that was a stupid take.
And have done it all their lives very successful. And based on the way the negotiation was going, I think they were going to attack first. And I didn't want that to happen.
So he says, based on the way the negotiations were going, that's what made him think they were going to attack first. And I'm guessing those negotiations were, hey, we're going to want you to do this. And they were like, no. He was like, well, how about this? And they're like, no. And he's like, well, what about this? And they're like, no. I don't know how these negotiations were. I would love to hear that. I wish they would play some of that stuff, like after the fact, like record these calls or whatever, and like let us hear them. I mean, I know they're not going to do that, but I would like to hear them. I think that'd be cool. Be interesting to see what level of negotiation is going on and how good our negotiators are. Twilight Angel says, how many sleeper cells are there in our country? That's a solid question. I hope they have an idea and that one of our intel agencies was paying attention to all of the people that the left let in over the last 4 years. But who knows? Who knows?
So if anything, I might have forced Israel's hand. But Israel was ready and we were ready, and we've had a very
I rule 2530. Iranians were bragging they had enough uranium to build a nuke in 3 months. I've heard that. I don't know. Again, we're playing a propaganda war here. Who's telling the truth? Who's not? I don't know. I'm not going to like look at Trump and our current government and just take their word as gospel. That's not going to happen. But I'm also not going to like go to Iranian news sources and be like, oh, they're definitely telling the truth. or any of the, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's not going to happen.
very powerful impact.
Well, since the 80s, Iran has not launched an attack first. Every attack has been a response, a retaliatory attack. I mean, that is literally pulled out of Trump's butt, Nick.
It is. And that's exactly what happened last year, too. Israel came in and Trump said, oh, we knew they were doing it. They told us, and the whole negotiations were a ruse. It's almost just childish to see Trump in the White House spin. Well, actually, I forced Israel to do it. This is when Trump just becomes grating. You know, all those things we thought were charming 10 years ago or endearing or funny. Now it's just grating and insufferable. He's obviously full of it. That there's nothing true about that at all. This idea that, like you say, that Iran was about to attack us. Really? We have 2 carriers there. We got a dozen warships, 50,000 soldiers, half of our air.
Guys, what am I missing about Rubio? Nani says, I don't know how to, I don't know. I don't know if that's how you say it or not. Rubio wouldn't be all in if it weren't legit. What am I missing with Rubio, guys? Because I'm not a Rubio guy at all. I think he's a twit. I'm gonna get shut down here or something. But I don't like. There's nothing about Rubio that I trust, that I like. What am I missing with Rubio, guys? Help me out. If you can't like defend this in chat, that's fine. Just go to X or something and just let me know. Like I'm open-minded to listening to other viewpoints on Rubio. But I can't. I'm not a fan. What am I missing with Rubio?
Force and Iran was going to start the war against us. Does that even make any sense? That is completely made up.
And then Rubio says Israel launched an attack.
Are you sure? Says he's not a pro-war guy. Are you sure? And you don't have to be a pro-war guy to go to war or to support a war. Okay. Well, yeah, but come on. No, you can't just be like, no, I like Rubio because he's not Lindsey Graham. Everybody's not Lindsey Graham practically. How does that guy keep getting elected? What are we doing, man? Lindsey, that guy sucks so bad. And somehow people are just like, yeah, that's who I'm voting for. But that can't be your standard. Like, why do you support this guy? Well, because they're not as bad as Lindsey Graham. Or, I mean, I guess, I don't know. Maybe that's fair.
So we had to, because they were going to attack us. Now Trump goes, no, they were going to attack us with no information. I mean, I'm sorry, folks. I wanted to support Trump. I support the killing the carbon. That's why I hate this, because he's done a lot of good. We're watching Trump self-immolate on live television.
I don't care how right Lindsey Graham ever is. That guy sucks and needs to go away. And the sooner he goes away, the better. For everybody.
It is. It's a complete unraveling, and it's clear what happened there. I think, look, J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio, they want to run for president in 28, so they know that their butt is on the line here. If this Iran war doesn't go well, there go their presidential ambitions. And so I think that when Rubio comes out and says, well, Israel made us do it, obviously this is like a real-time narrative construction, so that when in
I did see like Rubio, like the next day, tried walking that back a little bit. This is what I'm talking about with Rubio, in my opinion. Like, he just sucks at talking to the media. Like, you need to come out, be assertive, and be confident in what you're saying, and say it. And he has he doesn't come across as confident at all when he's talking to the media. It sounds like he comes across as feeling insecure, pressured, like too worried that he's going to say the wrong thing. Like, puff your chest out, dude. You're a leader. Puff your chest out. Say it with your chest. Say what's up and be done. And he doesn't do that. That was one of the biggest things I liked about Trump, regardless of, you know, the words that necessarily came out of his mouth, was just how he handles situations like that. Just comes out and he's Trump. And say what you want about Obama, right? Not an Obama guy, okay? But Obama was good at this too. Coming out and just saying what's up. Bush, not so much.
28, he's questioned about it on the debate stage. If this
Biden, definitely not.
becomes a debacle, this is hedging. He can say, well, we didn't have any options.
iRule says, respectfully disagree with you, Bronson. And that's okay. I would just like, if you could say why in as short of a way as possible, that would be preferred.
Had the choice. Either we go in with Israel at the beginning or Americans die. Well, I chose to, that's going to be the argument. That's going to be the campaign speech. That'll be screenshot this. In a few years, that is what he's going to say on the debate stage. We had a choice. If we didn't act, then more Americans would have died. And I stood with Trump. We made the bold decision to go in and blah, blah. That is clearly going to be the answer.
And by the way, you're on a roll. You're on a roll. We got a whole other hour coming up, but let me just stop you. I said at the first of the show, they're going to use the insurance company shutting down the Strait of Hormuz as the claim that we've got to put a beachhead on the Iranian side so they can't close it to secure it for trade. I said I believe that'll be the excuse for.
Two Goats and a Dog says you don't like him because of his lisp. Just say it. It doesn't help. I can tell you that much. It doesn't help.
On the ground, which they floated in the last 2 days, which Eric Prince freaked out about, rightfully. Ladies and gentlemen, he just put this out. Show the timestamp on this, guys. Scroll down. Pull it up. I just saw this now. Trump is now saying he signed an executive emergency order basically for war. If anybody tries to close the strait, it's already closed.
He's gotten so much better. Remember Sweaty Marco? Yes, I remember Sweaty Marco. And like, to be fair, I feel like when you're at the bottom, you can't really go down. You can only go up from there, right? But a lot of people did. You remember Ted Cruz? I remember Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz sucked. He still kind of sucks, but he sucks less, right?
So this is him using economic emergency powers to have an unofficial declaration of war, Nick. This is...
Speaking of which, we did get eye patch out. That was awesome. Not sure if some of you people are eye patch fans. I'm not. Crenshaw can lick sack, but he's gone. So that's cool. See, good things happen.
This is horrible. This is really bad. This is boots on the ground. So this is just a few minutes ago. What do you make of this, Nick Fuentes?
Well, it's like I said, we're being drawn in here. That is really the operative word. Nobody wants this. It's not in our interest. We are being slowly drawn in, and what that implies is that step by step, we're being dragged further into this, and that's always what happens. Is it always starts with we're just putting maximum pressure sanctions. Well, we just killed Qasem Soleimani. Well, we just backed a cyber attack. It's always we just did this one time. And all it does is increase our liability. It just increases our stake in this disaster. And so
Ex-Samurai says, we've been in war with them for years. So there was a lot of things that happened while we were in Iraq, Afghanistan, right? And there were a lot of United States military personnel that were unalived because of Iran. That's a fact. And during those times, the United States didn't really do anything about it. And there were a lot of service members who were not happy with the fact that our government wasn't really doing anything about it at that time. Once again, guys, things are not black and white. It's a lot of complexity to these things. There's a lot of gray area. I don't know if I would say that we've necessarily been in a war with Iran for years and years, but we definitely haven't been friends, and they've definitely done some things to the United States that many would argue they never really saw enough consequences from. Is that what is happening now? I mean, some people can justify it that way, maybe. Me personally, I feel like things maybe should have been handled when they were happening, but
it was very obvious. Okay, we go in with the bombs really hard. We destroy the Navy. We destroy the missile launch platforms. Okay, well, then you get this logic like, well, you break it, you bought it. Now Iran inevitably is going to keep throwing missiles at us. We're running out of interceptors. So what do you do now? Iran is going to close the Strait of Hormuz. That's going to shut down 20% of the oil trade. What do you do now? Again, you're being drawn in step by step, and our share of this, our stake in this, is always increasing until you wake up and you find you're in this.
We're barely into year 2 of this current administration. Like, the political atmosphere is going to look so different in another 2 years than it looks right now. We saw this same, I mean, it happens every time, but like Ron DeSantis was supposed to be the guy. I don't know if you guys remember that. There was a big push behind Ron DeSantis, and that was nothing come election time. So the political landscape is going to change so much over the next 2 years. I have no idea who's going to be running for president in 2028 for the Republican Party. No clue. Or who I'm even going to vote for, or who I want to. I'll be honest, like right now, I mean, he won't. I don't know that he has those political aspirations. Maybe he does, but I like Hegseth. I like Pete.
Unthinkable scenarios. So that's why I say I don't know that we could rule out boots on the ground in the future.
Oh, but that's the plan. People go, oh, the executive order just says they'll protect the ships. Yeah, they're going to do it with troops. I already saw it. People, we got a whole other hour coming up, but how people find you, Nick?
I am at rumble.com/Nick J. Fuentes. I'm live every weeknight, and I'm on Twitter, Nick J. Fuentes as well.
And I'm at Real Alex Jones on X and the Alex Jones Show on Rumble. Everybody, we've survived so much, nobody thinks we're going to get shut down. The state receiver is refusing to pay the internet bills, refusing to keep the company open. So it looks like we're shutting down this month, towards the end of the month. We have the backup network. Just be ready, people. We survived so much, you'll take it serious. Just get ready to share. Here's where Alex is at.
Going to be Vance and Rubio that saved the day, obviously, based on this.
Well, I would say this. I may agree with you if we say we're not going to accept, we're not going to I would almost call it like a candidate by candidate basis, and then if somebody's a neocon, or we should do a litmus test, if they support this, they shouldn't be voted for. I almost see it as like a loyalty pledge, but let's come back.
I mean, like, just go look at the media from Rubio, Trump, and Hegseth that came out over the last day and a half. Just listen to them talk. In my opinion, Hegseth is the best. Just my personal opinion. Even Trump is kind of, I mean, Trump's good. Trump's good at talking to media. But Hegseth kind of came out like a boss. I'm not going to lie. Rubio, to me, just seemed really, really insecure about what he was having to deal with.
Because the French are sending their aircraft carrier to protect the one of the main corridors there, Suez Canal, and Trump is now basically saying they're going to send in U.S. ships into the Strait of Hormuz, which is a total
I don't know if this music is copyrighted or not. God, why does he do that?
Arctic frost. I got to go to Congress and provide my documents because we're going after, Jack Smith. So the Democrats are trying to put me in prison. They run show trials on HBO. So obviously, it's not that I'm being paid off by Trump. I've been persecuted for supporting him. So I want to now pay out on this. I want to save the country, secure the border, find the missing kids.
Listen, I want a president who has seen combat, who understands the horror of war. That's who I want as my commander in chief. We haven't had one for a while, and we need one. We need one that knows the risks of war, that understands what happens in war. I want that guy making the decisions for our troops. That's who I want. Just me. Like I said, I don't see Hegseth running for president, like ever. But somebody like a Pete Hegseth, somebody who has seen combat, who has been there, done that, knows what it means, and understands how important of a decision that is to just decide to send our men and women to go unalive themselves, essentially, for a cause.
I want to believe, but I'm not in a cult. I'm not delusional. So I was like, I'm critical. This is overall good, but and now I'm just like, now I'm having to think of the off.
That I'm not sure of, because I feel like when you start getting into those positions, now you're kind of a politician. But maybe.
Ram. Nick, we've talked about this privately. You're targeted too. They're trying to kill you at your house. This is your name's Nick J. Fuentes. I'm Alex E. Jones. We're real people. We're under attack. So we're in the real world. You do what you think's right. I do what I think's right. You're not paid by people. I'm not. We're just our fans. So to me, I needed Trump as my lifeboat. May not be perfect, but it's the lifeboat I've got. And
Jack Craig, I've always said a military should be a requirement for presidency. Yes, and double points if you are a combat veteran. I want the person in charge of making those decisions to know and understand what that decision is that they're making.
I'm watching it
from a firsthand perspective.
By its own doing, and so this is horrifying.
But I also don't want that person to be a complete psychopath, because let's be honest, guys, there's a lot of guys in the military that are combat veterans that are not they're different. Okay? It's probably a pretty good portion of them, but it's not all of them. There's some people that are in there that are just different than you and me, okay? Same with this, like there's a lot of, and I'm just going to make this point, I don't know why, but there's a lot of people who are like, oh, we're sending people off to war for some other cause or to listen, man, there are people that join the military because they want to go to war. I don't know how much they necessarily care about the cause. All right. Be mad at me. It's just a fact. I'm not saying they're all like that or anything, but there are most definitely those guys in there who are just like, just give me some bad guys. Just give me some bad guys. I want to go. I want some action. Let's go.
So, but I can't sign on to covering up Epstein. I can't sign on to World War III. And so that's why I tried to promote the optimism, because I fucking need this, man. Like, I want to fix the country. I want to turn it around. So it's not that I was delusional.
The Eclipse Truth. My husband said he worked alongside guys that were psycho unalivers. Yeah. And it's the best place for them. 100%. It's the best place for them. And I'm really glad that they're on our team.
I still hope we can turn it around, but sorry, go ahead. You get what I'm saying?
I get it. And listen, like I said, I don't think that everybody that supported Trump was being dismissive about these concerns.
I don't know if that's if that's possible. If you are a combat veteran, I don't know that it's that you, I'm pretty sure you just have PTSD now. I mean, I'm granted there's definitely different levels to that, but that's just a thing, right? Like I got a buddy who did 20 years. Okay. He was struck by an IED in an Humvee. And from everything he said, it was an absolute miracle that they survived. He's a good dude, right? He's a great dude. Probably one of my best friends in the world. He absolutely has PTSD. And he probably has like he's definitely not like the worst case of PTSD ever, right? There are so what's my point? My point is that I don't think that's real. I don't think that's a possibility to not have PTSD and to have been in combat.
Get it. You know, we all wanted to believe. I was 18 years old when Trump ran in 2016. And I remember getting in fights with people. This is my whole life too. At 18 years old, I wore the MAGA hat at Boston University, one of the most liberal campuses in the country. And
just a cool story too. So he retired. I think it was last year. Yes, he retired last year. And one of his the biggest motivating factor he had, other than he did his 20 years, and that's, you know what I mean? Like at a certain, once you hit 20, then you get all the benefits and everything. But one of the bigger motivating factors for him was that he wanted Trump to sign his whatever, the letter of achievement or retirement or whatever it is that they get. Forgive me, I'm not sure. But that was like one of his things is like, nope, I don't care how long it takes. I want Trump to be the one that signs it.
Became a pariah on my college campus.
Something you sacrificed. It's sad to see something you fought and bled for die.
Yeah, and that's my whole adult life. I know that's a huge part of your life also, and now we're witnessing it's totally unraveling. It's an utter and complete betrayal. It's heartbreaking in many ways.
And when I try to say,
you should ask him. You ask him that. Ex-favorite daughter says, I don't think Gary has PTSD. We can ask him. You ask him. I am not going to ask him.
Legit with people, I get attacked as a liberal, which is when these people doing that can't even find Iran on a fucking map.
Yeah, well, what's called for is for us to be sober-minded about the entire thing, because there's a lot of Trump haters.
I've been a realist the whole time, but was hoping, and now I'm just not even hoping. I'm just going to be a realist.
Yeah, I mean, and really, it's okay to have hope. I mean, we hope for a better future, but we got to be brutally honest about what this administration has become. It's like, I saw this game play out in the first term, and I remember I went to D.C. in 2018. I met with people from the admin, and me being like 20, I was like, is Q real? Is there a plan? Is there a 5-dimensional chess? Is this all like going to end in building a wall and so on? And they looked at each other and they laughed in my face and they said, bro, I said, it is worse than you could possibly imagine.
Oh, I've been at the top of the Justice Department, and they literally they laughed at me, and they said, no, we mean well, but you have no idea about it. It's the exact same thing.
Yeah, and anyone will tell you that. Anyone from Trump 1, any of the good guys from Trump 1, any of the people in Trump 2, they will tell you the exact same thing. It is brutal.
And that's right, and I will not come on air and lie to my audience about the situation, because I believe in them. If they know how desperate it is again, we will rise to the occasion. I mean, I'm not going to sell hopium. It's just that clear.
And it's tough. I mean, it's tough because you're right. I mean, what other option do we have? That's really the question. People say, well, what else is there?
Well, that's it. I'm so sad to have to start turning loose of something that had so much potential.
Yeah,
it's
well,
like,
not only
it's like
that,
a grandma dying or something.
Well, it's sort of literally. I mean,
these guys are talking like this is a 4-year war that we were tricked into again. Like we're on like day, what is it? 6, day 5, day 6. I mean, like panikins, whatever they're called. Like, let's just calm down and take this day to day and see what happens. You know what I mean? I totally get people that are incredibly skeptical and paranoid that we're now in another Iraq, Afghanistan, but let's just relax. Let's calm down and let's see where this goes. Right. If you're against the war, feel free. Let everybody know you're against the war, whatever the case is, okay? But to just like all of a sudden go straight doomer on this and be like, oh man, they got us into another 20-year war here for nothing, for Israel. Like, we're in day 6 here. And so far, between Trump's first year and his previous term, there's nothing that tells me that Trump is going to get us involved in a long-term, prolonged war. Could be wrong, but it doesn't seem that that's the way that Donald Trump operates. But we'll see.
Kind of getting up there, you know?
Okay, so don't panic and vote Democrat to try to show those darn neocon Republicans, because that doesn't work. That's never worked. Probably the best thing you can do if you want to stick it to the administration because you're unhappy with the way things are going is to just vote for the people or vote for somebody that Donald Trump isn't endorsing. But to just go vote for Democrat or not vote is stupid and will do nothing except just transfer power back to the people that really don't have Americans' interests at heart. Okay, let's go on to the next topic here. I've got what do I want to talk about first? There's the Piers Morgan interview with Cenk. I don't know, that might be a little too rage baity for you guys. Or there is Michael Knowles. I actually haven't watched this yet. I watched a little bit of it, but I guess somebody called him out for not going out against Candace and he defends himself. Some of you might have seen this. I have not. So we should watch this and see what old Michael Knowles has to say. I'm guessing it sucks.
Next question.
Hey, Michael. I watched your show on Wednesday, and I am pretty angry that you won't talk more about all the terrible things that Candace is doing to Erica Kirk. What she's doing is just awful. Everyone.
Fran G. David here real quick. No administration has ever been perfect, but I think Trump has kept more of his promises than any other politician, in my opinion. They're making like this argument that they're slow rolling us into this prolonged war, as if somehow that's going to be effective, as if somehow that's going to change everybody's mind. And we're just all of a sudden going to be really okay with this prolonged war. I don't know anybody that's okay with a prolonged war in Iran right now. Even if people like are supportive of the actions that they're currently taking in Iran. I don't know anybody that is like, yeah, no, we should definitely invade Iran and just run a 20-year war and do it exactly how we did with Iraq and Afghanistan, to where it was basically all for nothing. I don't know anybody that's like supporting that. So I think everybody needs to just chill out and see what happens, right? Just see where this goes. Trump's talking about weeks and that they're ahead of schedule. I don't know what their plan is. I don't know if they've really even said what their plan is or what the objective is. But according to everything I'm hearing is that they're ahead of schedule for whatever that objective is. So, okay, we got some weeks here. We'll see.
Else is talking about it. Why won't you?
Very good question. I'm glad you asked me that. I caught so much flack for my show on Wednesday. This was right after the State of the Union, and I did a segment on President Trump's beautiful tribute to Erica Kirk. And what did I say? I'll tell you why I caught flack. Because, well, one, the reason I caught flack is also because some manipulative, organized Twitter accounts clipped out a very small section of what I said and misrepresented what I said. But here's what I said. I think people could sincerely be angry at what I said, but I don't think they're justified in that, because amid all the flack I took, I have yet to see a single person refute my argument. I have yet to see a single.
Oh, yeah. Well, he definitely didn't watch the video that we did he? Because we refuted the crap out of his stupid argument. Yeah. Oh, this guy sucks. Nobody is. I mean, you can say, like, I could come out and be like, nobody's ever proven me wrong. All I got to do is just never look for somebody to have proven me wrong. I guarantee he wasn't scouring the internet for somebody who refuted his argument.
Single person.
This guy sucks.
I think people are angry because they feel a little called out or something. But what was the argument? I said, Erica Kirk is a national hero, as I've said many, many times. I said she deserves our full.
Would you guys consider Erica Kirk to be a national hero? She's a victim of a terrible tragedy. But we don't need to like praise Erica Kirk. I would assume Erica Kirk would much rather have Charlie back than to be a national hero. She's a fucking victim. And even more so now than she was on 9/10. So no, I don't care. I don't want Michael Knowles to come out and tell me how much of a hero Erica Kirk is. Tell me how terrible the people insinuating she was involved in what happened in 9/10. Tell me how terrible they are.
Support and full sympathy. I said Candace is wrong in what she's doing.
She has my full support and full sympathy. And Candace is wrong. Oh, well, thanks, Michael. Good job, buddy. Good job. So I'm so glad. I'm so glad that you were to let Candace know that what she's doing is wrong. Listen, what Candace is doing is far beyond wrong. Wrong is not anywhere near the correct term to be using for what Candace Owens is doing.
I said all of those things. Everybody should agree so far, probably. Most people would agree. But then I said, I think it's a bad strategy to focus all of everyone's attention on Candace and her new show. That was the part that got people really upset. Some people. Maybe some organized people too. But
oh, fuck it. Oh, yeah, guys. Listen, if they're disagreeing with me, people are definitely getting paid. They're getting paid to disagree with me. There's no way that anybody would disagree with me. Oh, man. I hate his hair. Even if I had hair, I would never put my hair like that. But I don't have to worry about that. I don't have that problem. But yeah, if they disagree with me, guys, they got to be getting paid. They're being paid. They're being paid. Because you really, both sides, that's where we're at. Both sides, they're just like, oh no, these are bots. Everybody's getting paid to come out against us. These are bots to say that what Candace is doing is demonic. I just want you all to know that I never tweeted anything about Candace being demonic. So I was not in that little. That seemed to like there's better things. I can say better things about Candace Owens than just calling her demonic. How about piece of shit? I like that one better. Better than demonic. It's got a better ring to it, in my opinion. Just my opinion, guys. You can call her whatever you want.
Let me ask you a simple question. Do you think Candace is happy or sad that all the right-wing accounts and podcasts are talking about her ad nauseum and talking about her new show? Do you think that makes her happy or sad?
I don't think Candace is a happy person. I think Candace is a very deeply troubled, sad person who puts on a happy face, who tries to buy her happiness. She's wearing a new shirt every episode. I'll be rocking the same hoodies day in and day out. Don't need new shirts every time I talk to people. And I don't think Candace is a happy person at all. I don't think anything makes her happy. I think she's a miserable person. And she tries to like heal that misery with money and popularity and fame and influence. And my guess is it's making her more and more unhappy to the point to where she just is hateful against everybody.
I think you would probably have to say it makes her happy, right? Because it's promoting her show. Now, there can be an effect to talking about something. There can be good effects if you're like running a campaign and you talk about what someone's doing, and then that makes that person lose support.
Yeah, happy people don't do what she's doing to Erica Kirk right now. Happy people don't do this series that she's got going. That's not what happy people do. Oh yeah, I'm sure she's super happy that everybody's talking about her. Yeah, I could tell. She was real happy when she brought up that video of Ben Shapiro those couple of times where he's completely razzing on her. Yeah, she seemed really happy about that. Michael Knowles is an idiot. What a safe space pussy this dude is. I got to be careful. Guys, I got to be careful.
Or lose an election. Okay, so then let me ask you a follow-up question. What will the effect of all this publicity be? Will the effect be to get Candace to walk back her claims that everyone wants her to?
We don't want Candace to walk back her claims. We don't care. That is not the goal. The goal is to completely obliterate her arguments so that sane people don't get sucked in. She's going to get the tards. She's going to get the crazies. That's a given. Okay, there's no stopping that. There's no helping that. But you have to push back. And you have to push back as much as they're pushing, right? That's with anything. That's just the way it goes. They're not taking a break. We shouldn't be taking breaks either. She's doing this daily. They are pushing this crap daily, multiple times a day. You don't get to just come out and go, I disagree, and then just not talk about it anymore and be like, oh, I did my part.
Walk back? No, I don't think anyone thinks it will. In fact, I think we have proof that it has not done that. Okay, will constantly talking about Candace and publicizing her show, will that decrease the number of views that the show gets? Or will that? No, it won't. Will it increase the number of views? Yeah. I think it probably will. I think it has. So then what's the effect here? What good is actually being accomplished? We've all stated we love Erica Kirk. We support Erica Kirk. I think we should focus on the good things. That's basically my thesis. But what is actually accomplished?
MSF Goonan, I agree. The more people pay attention and watch her, even if only to talk negatively, it still brings her views because of the algorithm. The algorithm is, it doesn't matter. In most cases, it makes a difference, right? Candace is being pushed unorganically. I haven't watched or clicked on an episode of Candace for days now. How's her views doing? How many concurrent live viewers is she getting? Is it still pretty similar? Pretty close to the same numbers? How many retweets is she getting when she puts a tweet out? You have to push back against crazy. The algorithm, if there's a bunch of people who agree with Candace Owens and want to share Candace Owens' words, the algorithm is going to notice that anyway. So you have to push. The only reason that there's any pushback is because of how big this went and how big this became. It didn't become this big because of the amount of pushback Candace was getting. Keep that in mind. She was getting views right away because of the interest in it. And now she's converted a bunch of people to just going, Israel bad, Israel did, and Erica are involved in Charlie. Had nothing to do with the amount of pushback. There wasn't a ton of pushback right away in the beginning. Now there's more pushback. There's probably 4 times the amount of pushback towards Candace now than there was October, November. Her views haven't increased. Her impressions haven't gone up. They're pretty much the same. Maybe they've gone down a little bit. I feel like this series isn't really helping Candace too much because of how insanely boring it's been from everything that I've heard. But it makes sense to me from a manipulative standpoint. She understands her audience. She understands what her audience wants. Her audience doesn't want them. Her audience doesn't need her to bring them to an end result conclusion. The audience already has their conclusion, guys. They already have their end result. Here's the end result. Erica and TPUSA and Israel were involved in what happened on 9/10 and the military, right? It's a military operation somehow involving Erica, TPUSA, and Israel. Okay. Maybe even our own government. That's their conclusion. Already done. All they want is for Candace to bring the weird. Bring me the inconsistencies, Candace, even if you've got to make it so far-fetched that any normal person would look at that and go, this is stupid. Doesn't matter. Bring me the inconsistencies. That's all her audience wants, and she's going to give it to them. So it doesn't, there are not enough people speaking out still. There's a lot more, but there's still not enough.
And the point I made on my show is people will feel good. They'll feel a kind of emotional catharsis because people are really angry and They get a catharsis by venting that.
Ex-favorite daughter. Nope, numbers are dropping daily. So here's my theory on why her numbers might be going down. Because this series sucks. It's boring. Even the hate watchers are bored. They're like, what is this? This sucks, right? Just wait. She'll notice. She'll recognize. She'll finish up whatever it is she's doing here. And then she'll put that tweet out with explosive information. And they'll shoot right back up. We've seen this happen a few times now with her viewership. And we're no closer to getting a conclusion to what happened on 9/10 than we were months ago. No closer. If anything, we're further away because I don't know. I don't even know when we trial, whenever that's going to happen, right? The last thing I just saw is the defense is now trying to go back and get cameras and they don't even want the public to like attend the court appearances now or something. Like they really don't want anybody to see Tyler Robinson because just looking at that dude is really bad for the defense. But this isn't, you'll see. I guarantee you, there will be an email. There'll be some new explosive information and the views will jump right back up again.
Even if it promotes this show that they say they hate. They'll get a catharsis. They'll seem really good to all the people who already agree with them.
So, ex-favorite daughter, glad for live stream so Candace does not get our views. Here's the problem with that. You know what? I'm going to be really careful what I say here. There's going to be a few people that I talk to be really careful about what they say because there could be issues. So I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm not going to air that out for the world. And by the world, I mean all 80 people that are watching me right now.
They'll get to posture and seem.
But I don't know that I would be publicly promoting that idea at all.
Present themselves as really moral and valiant. The third thing that will happen, ironically, is they will profit off of Candace's content. They will profit off of the attacks on Erica Kirk. If they have a monetized Twitter account or if they have a podcast, they will be making money off of the attacks on Erica. Okay, so that's an ironic third thing that will happen. But the only person who will benefit is Candace. The only, other than maybe an individual feeling good, the only person who will benefit is Candace. And so my observation was,
Samantha Richardson, no, you're first. The chat that I just pulled up, you're correct. To come out and say that you're doing something so somebody else doesn't get something, you could run into some legal issues there. So I would just, I would be really careful with anybody saying that that they're doing that or that it's a good thing that that's happening. That's got to be really careful with how you say things.
If your goal is to support Erica, TPUSA, obviously you state your opinion, you state the true thing. But if your goal is to hurt Candace, you're playing right into her hand. You're giving her exactly what she wants. I said, isn't that a bad strategy if that's your goal? And the point I made was that it's human nature, and I don't put myself above it, but it's human nature to want to.
Yeah, as far as I can tell, that's the only good thing that's come out of that. And I say good thing very lightly, maybe just the most entertaining thing that came out of that.
Feel good, or even to seem good, even when it comes at the expense of actually doing good. And so I'm not surprised. There were some people who were insincere in their reactions, but even the sincere people, I'm not surprised at that reaction because I think it hits a little close to home. But amid all of the kerfuffle, amid all of the people who are really angry, I have yet to see a single person refute a single point of that argument. And this is what happens when people get very passionate and allow their emotions to run away with them in politics. And they don't view things in a more dispassionate way. People make mistakes. And I think that from a strategic standpoint, people are.
Ex-favorite daughter, is Candace trying to stop the live streams? Blink twice. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. That would go against everything Candace allegedly says she stands for, right? Don't sue people. Don't cancel. Not cancel culture. However, depending on where this goes, there could be repercussions to where she could have. No, I don't believe that Candace is actively trying to stop any live streams. However, I would not give her ammo.
Making a lot of mistakes right now. Okay, next question.
Hey, Michael.
Okay, so not surprised. Not surprised that Michael needed to come out and tell everybody about how right he was. That guy sucks. That guy's a bummer. Oh, no, that's not. Where is... I kind of wanted to watch, there was a Nick Fuentes clip, and I watched it for like 2 seconds, and I realized that that is not going to happen, not going to work. He says too many naughty words. So this is, I'm going to pull this up quick. We're going to go back into the whole Iran and Israel thing, and we're going to listen to Netanyahu's words. This was months ago, right? Let's just watch and see what he says here.
America better do oil. Prime Minister, what do you say to the critics who say, Israel owns America, Israel is who makes America do things they want them to do, whether it's through AIPAC, whether it's through, funding, money. You'll typically hear this. This has been overly said the last couple of years in a major way. And there's a community of Americans that at this point believe that whatever Israel.
Samantha Richardson, her fans mass reported Gary's channel. That may be, but I don't believe that that was under the instruction or direction from any of those talking heads. Like, I don't think Ian Carroll and Candace Owens or Baron Call, I don't think they got together and said mass report. I think they did that just on their own. I would assume, because I don't, you know what I mean? I don't see any reason that they would do that. They're taking clips of Gary and completely manipulating and lying about them to try to discredit him. They don't need to get his channel. If anything, Gary doing content gives them more of an opportunity to take things that he does and says and twist them to make them look more right. So I don't believe that they want to get rid of him because they can use him for content.
Israel wants, they make a phone call to America. America better do or else. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely not. I think it's full of hokum. First of all, do you know President Trump?
Whitney Stormy, they don't need to tell their fans to do that. They are, yes, 100%. They don't need to tell them that they're going to do that anyway.
I mean, sort of, I've known him for many years.
Sure.
Okay. You don't make him do anything. He does what he thinks is in America's interest, and he's very forceful about it. When he sees allies who don't step up to the plate, he's not shy about saying it. And we have a different relationship altogether.
Okay, so Netanyahu went on PBD's podcast. This was months ago. And PBD asked him basically, all this talk about President Trump being a puppet for Israel and Israel runs America. What do you have to say to that? And Netanyahu basically says, do you know Donald Trump? Do you know who Donald Trump is? Do you think anybody tells Donald Trump what to do? Now, do I think that Netanyahu has met with President Trump and pitched certain things and wanted to get Donald Trump on board with certain things, maybe many things? Yeah, of course. You know how many other leaders of other countries have probably met with Donald Trump and wanted to get him on board with certain things? Do you know how many people Donald Trump has probably contacted to try to get them on board with certain things? This is what they do, guys. It's called diplomacy. It's what they do. Chances are Donald Trump listened to Netanyahu, got the idea of what Netanyahu was trying to accomplish or wants to accomplish, looked at certain things and thought it out. Like, does this help America? Does this help the people of the United States? Does this help donors that I have who got me elected? Does this help my enemies? And I'm assuming that there were some things that he agreed with and some things that he disagreed with. Did that upset Netanyahu? Maybe, but I feel like none of these world leaders go into negotiations ever expecting to get everything they want. They're not stupid. These are intelligent people, mostly businessmen, but most of them are very knowledgeable on how to negotiate, right? and understand what is involved in negotiations. Now, if you didn't know Donald Trump, right? Or we didn't have evidence of how Donald Trump is for years and years and years and years, well, we would have to be taking Netanyahu's words here with a grain of salt. But Netanyahu said exactly what anybody else who has even the slightest bit of logic in him would go, yeah, it's just people don't tell Donald Trump what to do. If Donald Trump doesn't want to do it, chances are Donald Trump isn't going to do it.
It's not one of coercion or manipulation. It's one of common interests and common values. And I think that people understand that because Israel is different. It really is. We know that we have to fight for ourselves, and we do. But when we fight for ourselves, we fight for you too. Because we fight Iran. Iran tried to murder President Trump not once, but twice. Iran killed and wounded thousands of Americans with their IEDs, explosive devices, in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Now, that's true. I don't know. I don't know. We kind of have to take intelligence agencies' word for it when it comes to Iran attempting to unalive the president. I don't know. I don't know that we'll ever know with 100% certainty if that's true or not. But we do know that they absolutely, during the Iraq War, unalived American soldiers. We know that 100%.
Iran killed 241 Marines in Beirut. They bomb your embassies. They burn American flags. They have mobs chanting, "Death to America, death to America." So when we fight Iran, we're not just fighting our war, we're fighting your war, but we are fighting that war.
And wasn't there some justification to that? Didn't Tucker do like an interview or something? Was it with the Ayatollah? I don't remember. I'm having a brain fart, guys. Help me out in the chat if you recall. But wasn't the justification is like, well, the death to America chants doesn't mean unalive to the American people. It means to the government. What the hell does that mean? To the government. And is it figuratively or is it literally? That's a weird way to justify those chants and that like political stance, right? Like I can't imagine anybody out in the street here, for example, chanting D to anything, meaning anything other than what they're saying. Because I feel like if it meant something else, well, you would just say it differently, right? There's different words you can use. Like you can be like, I don't know, down with the United States government, or down with the Israeli government, or United States government is bad. This is other ways you can say things that don't explicitly imply unalive to America.
Here in the Middle East. And let me tell you what would happen. And as someone who had been in the Middle East as a child, I think you can appreciate this. It's not only we who are threatened by Iran, it's our Arab neighbors too. They know that Iran wants to conquer them, pillage their oil.
I mean, given what we've watched, if Iran is in fact doing what they're saying they're doing to the Arab neighbors there, Netanyahu kind of sounds like he's right. Unless, of course, you go with the conspiratards, right? And it's all false flags to make it look like Iran is doing it, but they're not actually doing it. I've heard that. I've also heard I've heard so many stupid, like weird cope things with this that it blows my mind.
Fields take over the Middle East, the maritime routes that control world trade. So they know that. But if you look at who's actually fighting Iran, it's Israel. It's Israel, our brave soldiers, our incredibly brave soldiers. And this tiny country, President Trump asked me, how do you guys do this? I mean, you're such a small country, we're the size.
And I think we can all be like totally honest with ourselves, right? Like, obviously, Israel probably has an agenda here. And it's not just stop bad people from doing bad things. They probably have an agenda, right? Most wars aren't happening just to stop bad people from doing bad things. Most wars, there's agendas involved, whether that's land, whether that's control of certain things, right? So again, it's not black and white. I think we can be honest. Two things, multiple things can be true at the same time. And I feel like everybody is purposely just missing that point, just so they can get their stupid little bias across of Israel bad, Israel control United States. Like, really? You don't think that there are benefits to both in this?
As of New Jersey, bigger than Rhode Island, but that's it. We're slightly smaller than New Jersey, and we take on this enormous empire with all its proxies, this anti-American empire that threatens to kill the president and chance death to America. How do you do this? And I said, well, you know, you're like an enormous lion, almost like a prehistoric saber-toothed tiger. You're enormous. We're not, but we are. You know, we're the the badger. You know, this little animal.
Absolutely.
Badger. And you see a badger being, some tiger or lioness is trying to kill it, and it sort of turns around. It has very sharp teeth, and it knows how to go to the weakness points. You know, to the points of vulnerability of the enemy. And you see these things. I watch NGO Wild when my wife lets me because she likes to watch cooking shows. Okay.
Sefafifa? Don't know how to say that. I'm probably butchering that really bad. So you are in Israel. Stay safe. Please stay safe.
So late at night, after we have this argument, we settle on some compromise. And on Nat Geo Wild, I see these films of this badger, this tiny creature, it's about this big, taking on a lion, and the lion runs away. So Israel is the badger of the international scene. It has the fortitude, the will to fight our enemies because of our history. Because for so long, we didn't have a state, we didn't have an army, we didn't have the ability to defend ourselves, which culminated in.
Yeah, did Netanyahu just say that Israel's like the honey badger? Is that what he said?
This crescendo of massacres that culminated in the worst massacre of them all, the Holocaust, in which a third of our people were annihilated. We have that in our bones, in our hearts, in our soul, and we fight. And that's I think President Trump would like to see more Israels around the globe, because everybody who says, America first, I can respect that, but I don't think they want America alone. And if you can have allies that.
Yeah, anybody who thinks we should have like an isolationist approach to the world is incredibly ignorant. Like, that doesn't end well for the United States, guys. I don't understand how anybody can have that take. Like, well, we should just be isolationists. We're on a rock we're so far separated from a ton of resources, guys, that we need to continue our way of life here. Like, an isolationist approach I just don't see how that goes well for the United States. Now, I don't know if we need to be as involved as we are, but I mean, here we are. We're a global empire. We built up this empire, right? We have military bases all across the world. It's just here we are. Here we are. But I don't like an isolationist approach is incredibly brain dead.
Actually share.
We need relations across the world. We need allies. Everybody needs a friend who's willing to do the bad thing for the better cause or the overall betterment of whatever, right? Everybody needs that friend. And everybody tends to have that friend, right? I'll just give an example. You got that buddy, you really like him, and you go to the bar with him, right? And he gets going a little bit, and it never seems to fail. He's always starting a fight, right? What happens? Well, generally, you got your buddy's back. You don't want to, but you got your buddy's back. And then what happens after the fight's over and you all go home? Now you're bending your buddy over your knee and giving him a little whooping for being an asshole. And you keep telling him, stop it. Stop getting me into fights. I don't want to do this all the time. And maybe you slowly stop hanging out with him, but he's still your buddy. You're still going to have his back. I think that's maybe a little bit what the American-Israel relationship is like. Maybe not.
Your values and fight for them in various parts of the world, and especially in the Middle East with Iran trying to take over the world. I think that's a valuable addition. So, it'll take time for this to sink in, but it will sink in.
Yeah, the topic of America first, it's become a little bit more clear where people are being put in different groups, America first and America only, and that debate's going on right now, which is a great debate. I actually like listening to both sides make their argument. Well, you said, do you think President Trump is a type of a man that you can get anything you want to make?
Jack Craig says, I still have a son in the Army. Now that I think about it, I hope he never talks to me. You hope your son who's in the Army never talks to you? Might need further explanation on what that is. See, I rule. I don't want a call telling me I became a gold star father. Oh, okay. I got you. I got what you're saying. And yes, my oldest is currently, well, I'm not going to say where he's stationed at, but he is currently infantry and in the Army. And I would really hope that this government has a really good reason if they want to. He signed up for it. You know what I mean? It was ultimately his choice. But the government, if they're going to deploy and put people on the ground, they better have a really good reason to do so. And I don't think they're going to have one. Just where I'm at with that.
Him do what he wants. I don't think President Trump is. But I do think Biden and others are. So the whole criticism of the fact that Israel, whatever they want, they can call America and have favors being done, I would agree with you on Trump, but with Biden. So maybe a question that I don't think's been asked yet. Putin was asked 2 weeks ago if the war between Ukraine and Russia would have happened under Trump.
Oh, let's see. Your metaphor is not good. You want this whole part of the planet to be Islamized? Israel didn't start any war. We always defended ourselves. You can check it. Yeah, let's not pretend like this whole like good guys versus bad guys thing is not like they are incredibly different ideologies, not compatible with each other in any way, shape, or form. And how, like, talk about a history of violence. Does anybody even know who started what? How long has that been going on over there? Since forever? So to pretend like there's good guys or bad guys here, no, it's not black and white. And I'm so sick of people looking at this through a black and white lens.
He said, no, it wouldn't have happened. So for you, would the war and the Hamas attack have happened if President Trump was president instead of Biden?
I don't know. It's a good question, but you said something about Biden that I should just point out the facts. In fact, President Biden supported us in the beginning of the war after this horrific massacre, and he came here, and I very much appreciate it. But as the war progressed and the vilifications of Israel, the distortions.
So let me give you guys an insight into somebody who has a child in the armed services. Okay, I don't want boots on the ground. I don't want this war to escalate into an invasion. I don't want to see that happen. I don't think whatever's going on is justified enough for that. Airstrike, sure. Cripple their military, absolutely. Whatever we're doing, okay, we're doing it now, right? But if it comes to that, and my oldest ends up getting deployed, what do you think I'm going to do? What stance do you think I'm going to take? Bring him home, and I'm going to tell him to kick ass and come back alive and do whatever he's got to do. I don't know how anybody can have any other opinion than that. War bad, pray for the troops. Kick ass, come home alive. How you can have any other take on this besides that as an American blows me away. Especially the ones that are like, they were celebrating the fact that Iran was dropping fucking drones into buildings. And like, what are we talking about? Why are you excited for that? Acting like somehow Iran's like the victim here. Guys, I don't know if there are victims necessarily here, but I can tell you Iran is not the victim.
On the media began to pile on. He began to take a different course. And
by Iran, I mean the government. I'm not talking about the people of Iran. It's just like anywhere else. You're going to have good people and you're going to have not so good people, right? I don't necessarily blame, what the United States government does on the people. I mean, most people, they get hoodwinked and bamboozled when it comes to voting, and then they go, what the? So I'm not going to hold anything against the people of Iran, but come on, guys.
When we were just 2/3 of the way, 3/4 of the way in Gaza, I said we have to go into that last position that they had, where they had organized battalions. It's in a city called Rafah, in the southern part of the Gaza Strip. And he said, don't go there. And he said, if you do go there, I'll smack an embargo on you. Now, you're fighting a 7-front war, and all of a sudden you're slapped with an embargo of weapons. That was tough. And
Amber Powell, Trump said it's more like him telling Israel than the other way around, usually. And also you have to decide what is a good reason or not. Yeah. Do you guys remember when this all first started popping off between Israel and Iran and stuff? And Trump was walking, I think he was walking to a helicopter or whatever. And one of the reporters was asking him about what's going on. And he said that these are two countries that have been fighting for so long that they have no idea what the fuck they're doing. Does that sound like somebody that's like owned by Israel? Sounds like somebody who's looking at a situation that no matter what he does, probably isn't going to have the best outcome and is super frustrated with having to deal with it. That's the way it came across to me. Didn't seem like he was a real happy camper having to deal with that.
I said to President Biden, who I've known for many years, I respect the fact you're the president of the United States, but I'm the prime minister of the one and only Jewish state, and we've been fighting to survive in our small place under the sun. It's been a battle that has been going on for 3,500 years. So I'll have to do what we have to do. And then a few days later, Tony Blinken, who was the Secretary of State, came to Israel, and he said, the president is serious about this embargo. And I said, Tony, I know it's serious because you stopped all the weapons. You slow walked them before, but now you've stopped them. And then I said to him this. He said, well, how are you going to do it then? I said, Tony, we'll fight with our fingernails if we have to, but we're not going to leave. It's like the Allies would leave a quarter of the German battalions in place and not go into Berlin. And I said, would you take that? Would you take that, Patrick? Of course you wouldn't. So we didn't take it either. We did it against the opposition of the American president. So much for Israel controlling the United States. We don't. But we do seek to control our destiny. And when somebody commits a crime like they did on October 7th, decapitating our men, raping our women and then murdering them, burning children alive in front of their parents.
You can't say that word, bro.
255 hostages, grandmothers with their grandchildren. This horror. And pledged to do it again and again and again. Well, what choice do we have? We have to fight them and their Iranian patrons, and we did just that. We did that first with American help, then with American opposition, and when President Trump came in, with great American help, which I truly appreciate.
So there's from BB's own mouth. And I think the biggest takeaway, honestly, from that interview that I got was just him saying that, Donald Trump, nobody's going to tell Donald Trump what to do. Unless, of course, you've got the people, he's got dirt on him from the Epstein files, so he controls them. Okay. It doesn't matter what the scenario is. There's always going to be an excuse for these people that is going to somehow make Israel the bad guy, and they're going to be in full control of everybody all the time, every time. So I guess we'll see. Like, I guess we'll see. I don't know what else to say. You're not going to convince these people that things are more nuanced, that things are more complex. It's all black and white to them. And it's an easy grift. Like, guys, it's such an easy grift now. It would have been hard years ago to grift on the Israel bad thing, but now such an easy grift. And it really involves no thought in it at all. He's just bad guys, cops and robbers, cowboys and Indians. One more thing, and then I think we're going to call it a day. So if you guys are not aware, the Cold-Blooded Christian, I don't know. I think he does YouTube, but he's been putting out more content, which is great because I think he should have been making content this whole time, but he's been doing more content. So if you guys are on X, I would say go give him a follow, the Cold-Blooded Christian. He shared a video, okay, where he actually made a phone call and talked to Candace Owens. I think he's made more than one phone call, but I'm not sure. I don't know that for 100% certainty, but he did put this one up. So I just wanted to play this real quick to see if maybe we can get some insight into the mind of Candace Owens in a not professional type format.
Here, take Wi-Fi. Here, take Wi-Fi.
Hello?
Hey, what's up?
Hey, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I've been bad.
So this is, from my understanding, is this call was right before she was about to do the Erica Kirk series, the Bride of Charlie.
Better. You sound tired.
No, I'm actually up. I'm just laying down.
Candace, I just wanted to talk to you about, if you're willing to talk to me, about what's going on with you and this investigative series that you're about to drop, because I'm hearing some things, and if you're a Catholic, is it not Lent right now? Is this the kind of things that we're supposed to be doing during Lent?
I just wanted to tell you I don't know who you are.
Okay, so why did you just call me and text me back then if you don't know who I am?
So she just answered a phone call from somebody. She doesn't know who they are, asked how they were doing. Why would he have her phone number? She just be giving her phone number out to people that she doesn't know? Bronson, Joshua Carr is making a series about Candace. Gonna have to check that out. But this is a little weird, right? Like, how do I get Candace's phone number? I'd like to call Candace. I got a couple things I'd like to say to Candace Owens. I might have to hit Cold-Blooded up. See, I'm sure she's got a different number by now, or maybe not. Who knows? But she just giving her phone number out to people she doesn't know for no reason. Like, I wonder how he got her phone number. Did he troll her on her little tip line in her emails with some information that she needed? And she was just like, oh, this sounds good. I'll give this guy my phone number so I can talk to him. This is weird.
I am.
I just thought you were in trouble and needed help.
You thought I was in trouble, but you don't know who I am.
Yeah,
that doesn't make sense, Candace.
I literally don't know who you are. I'm really sorry I don't know who you are.
So are you a Catholic, Candace?
Are you trolling me? I'm
Candace,
sorry,
I'm asking you a question. We've talked on the phone before. I thought that I could call you and reach out to you.
You never told me.
I've told you my name. I've emailed you. My name's on the top of my email, Candace. Candace, are you a Catholic?
The name's on your email.
Yeah, the emails that you responded to me, my name's attached to my email. My name's there.
I don't. Just so you know, my box is monitored by someone else, so I don't think that I've emailed. Maybe I have, because we get a lot of emails, but genuinely, I have not connected the dot. I wouldn't lie to you. I just genuinely don't know who I'm talking to. I'm not trying to be funny. I know I've spoken to you.
Well, you just called me back and you emailed me. You text messaged me back like you knew me.
Maybe you were in trouble. So
but it's weird that you're gonna call someone back that you're worried they're in trouble, but you don't know them. I'm asking you a question. Are you a Catholic? Yes or no?
Yeah.
So what are we doing during Lent, Candace? Releasing this regurgitated crap of the everything that you released in your little teaser has been debunked, Candace. What are we doing? It's gross. It is gross, Candace. It's not right, and you know it. If you were going to call yourself a Catholic, a Christian, it's not right. It's gross. It's gossip. It's division between believers, Catholics. It's Proverbs 6. It goes against everything God hates and detests. What are we doing, Candace? Can you answer that? Well, I just want to know, what are you doing?
I don't know this. I should probably check with Cold-Blooded Christian on this. I don't know how he got her number. I don't know if he emailed into her little like tip line with some like bogus stuff, and it was so convincing and good that like she called him or what. But this is like this is super weird. Like, why would that's all it takes, guys? Really? Candace will just doesn't matter. She don't even have to know who you are. She'll just talk to you. If you got something juicy for her, she'll give out her personal phone number, or who knows? She probably has multiple phone numbers, but she's laying in bed and she's just going to take calls from somebody she doesn't know because she thought maybe they needed help. Help with what? Like, this is, yes. Yeah. This is, yeah. Lisa Longo. This is crazy, kind of creepy. It is. Like, I wish I would have gotten more context. Like, what were those other phone call conversations about? How did we get to this? Ex-favorite daughter, Candace, I'm lying down. I thought you were hurt. Yeah, I thought you were in trouble. I'm laying here in bed. Why, what? 2 goats and a dog. I think she thought he was a hookup. Like, do you mean like hookup for information against Charlie and Erica? Or you mean like a hookup? Because, I mean, either way, both of those are creepy. Like, you're just going to give your phone number. I've had, guys, listen, all right? I've had people email me. I've had people DM me with like stuff, okay? Quite a few. Like, look at this. You need to check this out. You need to look at this. And then I'll go and look. Like, I don't bring it up. I go and look at it. And if I'm not like 100% certain on the information, or it's not something that I can like connect a dot to, I don't even really like, I appreciate people reaching out and you know, giving me their theories or showing me something that may seem a little suspect. But if I can't connect the dots, like I don't even talk about it. Right. And you guys would know because you would see, and I don't. And there's been quite a few of them. So I don't know. Like, this is weird. He didn't give like further context on conversations that they had before, and I wish he would have. But the fact that this just like random dude is talking on the phone with Candace Owens, like, what are you doing, Candace? What? You've like gone this crazy that you're just giving out random people a phone number that they can call you at, like at night? Like, what are we doing here?
I'm sorry, I cannot answer that.
Why can't you answer that? You're not trying to find Charlie's killer. Candace, there's so much evidence tying Tyler Robbins to it. I get that you use the
I mean, like, I'm going to vet you and I'm going to know who you are and know things about you before that ever gets to that. You know what I mean? Like this dude just, hey, I got some maybe information for you, Candace. Okay, cool. Here's my phone number. Be sure to call me whenever you want. Like, what?
Fed slop narrative. You're using the distrust of
regardless of what of this dude or anything about this guy or his background or anything, regardless of that, this tells me a lot about Candace Owens and where she's at mentally, that she's doing this with just anybody. Is this Mitch? No, this is not Mitch. But I would imagine this probably went a little like similar. It's like, oh, you saw some people at Fort Huachuca? Call me right now. Like, what? Holy crap. You're not vetting these people at all. At all. And then you're like worried about their well-being. Like, are you okay? Are you doing okay? It is most definitely not Gary. He shows like he has videos. He has his face. He shows videos and stuff. And from it seems like he's a solid dude. I don't know 100%. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to like, I don't like vouching for anybody that I'm not 100% on. But he seems okay. But this is just really weird that Candace Owens was just going to give her phone out to somebody she doesn't know. And then she's going to like take their calls. And Like, she doesn't even sound upset that she doesn't know who this person is and they're calling her. She's like, are you doing okay? Like, I was worried that maybe you were in trouble and that you needed some help or something. And she's, oh my God, I don't even know who you are. Like, are you trolling? Who are these people?
Americans, for the federal government against them is all you're doing. That is all you are doing. There's so, you won't even touch on the Tyler Robinson evidence. It is sad, man. It's sick. And I can't watch you do this anymore. Please stop.
Okay, so you should just, like, not.
Okay. So do you have any, look, man, you can act like you don't know me. That's fine. Okay. I used to be a fan of yours.
Can't. Like, think you're some big guy, but I just don't know who you are. So
I don't think I'm a big guy. I'm a small follower of Christ who's watching from afar.
Recognizable voice or something.
No, I don't.
I don't know who you are.
How do you?
I'm gonna hang up now because you just seem to be a little unwell.
I'm unwell, but you're putting out the content.
It's a weird thing for her to say at the end right there, isn't it? I know you think you're like some big voice or something. What the hell does that have to do with anything? This is how these people think. Like, you got to be special or you're just not even worth talking about. You're not worth anything. Oh, how many views do you get? You're not a big influencer. You're unimportant. So gross. These people's egos are so far out of control. Seriously. What have we done? What have we done? We keep saying this, guys. We are making the wrong people famous. The Eclipse Truth. What a narcissist. Yeah, no kidding. And she took the call, too. Like, what? I don't know this person, but I'm going to answer it and I'm going to say, hey, how's it going? Is everything okay? So you don't know who it is, but that's how you're going to answer that phone call? That's how she answered it, right?
Here, take my phone.
Hold on, let's go back.
Hello?
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, that's how I answer phone calls of people I don't know. I go, hey, what's up? In almost like in like an interested / concerned voice. Hey, what's up? This is how I answer phone calls of people that I don't know. Hello? Who is this? Who are you? What can I do for you? I don't know you. Don't fucking call me. And then I hang up.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I've been better.
Erica gave out her number as my guess. I doubt it. Hey, how are you? I'm good. I'm good. How are you? How are you?
You sound tired.
No, I'm actually up. I'm just laying down.
Candace, I just wanted to talk to you.
Yeah, that's how I'm going to talk to somebody who I have no idea who they are. Never talked to them before in my life. That's exactly how what? Yeah, the Eclipse Truth. I trust they'll leave a message. Yeah, if it's important, I don't know who they are, they can leave me a message. And if it sounds interesting, maybe I'll call them back. But like, just giving out my phone number to people I don't know and taking their calls late at night while I'm lying in bed. The only thing I can think of that makes any sense is she thought she was going to get something out of this guy that she could use. And I don't know what she would get from this guy. I don't know. As far as I know, he has no connections with Charlie Kirk or TPUSA or anything of that nature, other than maybe he's just a Catholic. But that's the only thing I can think of. He forgot to ask her what she wearing. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I wish I had more context because this video clip in and of itself is a little creepy. It's a little creepy. Kaylee, up. That's what you sound like when you think someone is hurt. Not sure. I'm not really, do you think that's what you sound like? Or are you saying that's not what you would sound like if you think somebody's hurt? Jack Craig, remember in 2016 when Trump gave out Lindsey Graham's phone number? But with Candace Owens, people like this, they have more than one. You know what I mean? They're going to have their own personal line that's only intended for like close friends and family. And then they'll have another line for business or whatever the case is. And then probably, who knows? Who knows? Oh, okay. Gotcha. All right. We're going to go full screen and we'll just chit chat for a little bit and then we'll wrap this up. Kaylee says, sorry, running code for work, so slightly distracted. Oh, you took that learn to code thing serious, huh? Surfer Boy 3000 says, I think we're being played. Well, we're definitely being played. It's just by who and who's playing better. Two goats and a dog. I'm telling you, she and Baron get together on the back deck to do a thing and chill, hash out content. Oh, they are, I guarantee you, they are all back and forth. Oh, I just know, speaking of which, Valhalla ended up getting banned from doing live streaming for like a week. He put some post out, says apparently it was for like gun related content or something. But of course, he's like, oh, it's because of my coverage on Israel and Charlie Kirk. Like, yeah, maybe. Maybe. I doubt it. Doesn't seem to be hurting Candace at all. Or Ian Carroll. Nadia knows. Bronson is my oldest son's name. Best name ever. Good name. Good, strong name. Or it's a psychotic name, just depending. Surfer Boy, why would he post this? You know, I think so. The way he made it sound in the tweet as to why he posted this is like somehow this was evidence that Candace doesn't have anything, that it's a fraud, that it's a complete fake, and I think basically that she'll talk to anybody who has anything she thinks she can use. I think. I don't know. Well, that's another thing too, right? Non says because he actually got her on the phone. I mean, yeah, like if you can get Candace on the phone and if you can confront her on what she's doing just to see what her reaction is, which could or could not be telling as to her motives. I mean, that's not a bad thing, right? Or maybe it, I mean, if she willingly answers the phone and willingly engages in a conversation. It had to be a number that she had saved in her phone. I would assume so. But it's hard. It's really hard to say either way. She has definitely talked to them before. Because you wouldn't just answer like that if you hadn't talked to this person at least one other time before, or at least have somewhat of an idea of who they are. And I would think that you wouldn't answer that if it's somebody who you know doesn't agree with you. Like I would think at some point he must have maybe whatever he did, he convinced her that maybe he was on the same team. Because she didn't. That wasn't a hostile way to answer the phone call to a detractor, right? Or to somebody that you disagree with. I feel like you just wouldn't even answer that phone call if that were the case. Non says he showed her phone number before he blocked it out. Yeah, I know. I think that was the second or third time he's put this video out. I've wanted to cover it before, but I just keep forgetting about it. But yeah, I'm pretty sure her number was on one of those. So I might get like, I'm sure she has a different number now, but. Surfer Boy 3000, that was intentional. All right, guys. Well, I think we're going to call it there. So plan is I don't know how much more like war stuff I'm necessarily going to talk about or cover. Cause I mean, it's really hard because I don't know what's true and what's not true. And it's updating like every hour. There's something new out, and there's so much fake crap being spread. There's so much AI. There's so much propaganda. It's really hard to tell. So unless something is like incredibly breaking, I'll wait to talk about it. But I'm probably going to be going live again tomorrow, probably around the same time, 4 or 5. And we'll see if there's anything new and developing in the Charlie Kirk story, or if there's new developing stuff. I don't know. I'll find something. I'll find something to talk about. That'll be fun and interesting. But thank you all for stopping in. Anybody who donated memberships, that was awesome. Thank you. All the super chats, anybody, I appreciate it. Very much appreciated. And I hope you guys have a wonderful evening, and we will catch you in the next one. Take it easy, guys.